I did what I had to do.
But you're scaring me!
It's to protect you.
The gun goes off inside the car, not loud, but intimate, a sound that seems to stay trapped between the windows and the leather seats, and the woman in the passenger seat doesn't scream, because she's already holding her breath when the blood hits the windshield in a thin, trembling arc. Ethan doesn't drop the gun. His hand shakes, but not enough to let it fall. The steering wheel is slick now, warm, and the car drifts a little before he corrects it. Jaw clenched so hard his molars ache. The man beside him slumps forward, forehead pressing into the glass, a wet mark spreading where his head rests. For half a second, Ethan thinks the man might still be alive, that he might turn, that there will be words, accusations, bargaining. Nothing happens. Jesus, the woman whispers. Her voice sounds wrong, like it belongs to someone else. Ethan, you shot him. He nods. The motion feels detached, like he's agreeing to a fact on paper. I know. The traffic light ahead turns red. He brakes smoothly. That's what shocks him most. How easy it is to stop at the line. How normal it feels to wait with his foot on the pedal, while a man bleeds out inches from his shoulder. Other cars idle beside them. Someone in a delivery truck glances over, then looks away. You can't just sit here, she says. You can't. Say his name, Ethan interrupts. She swallows. Mark. Say it again. Mark, she repeats. Louder now, like a spell. Ethan exhales through his nose. His chest feels packed tight, like something heavy is pressing inward. Okay, good. Remember it. Because you're going to forget everything else. The light turns green. He drives. He doesn't notice when the shaking starts, only that his teeth begin to chatter once they're on the highway, and the city thins into dark stretches of road. The woman, Claire, wraps her arms around herself. Her coat is streaked with blood where Mark's hand brushed her earlier, when he was laughing, when none of this was supposed to happen. She keeps staring at Ethan, like she's waiting for him to turn into someone else. Why? She asks finally. Why did you do that? He laughs once, sharp. That's what you're stuck on? Yes. Her voice cracks. Because people don't just shoot someone they know. Ethan thinks of the email, the subject line with no punctuation, the way his phone buzzed at 3 a.m. He thinks of the photographs attached, grainy but clear enough. He thinks of the weeks after, the slow, grinding certainty that nothing he said would matter, that explanations were a currency already spent. He keeps his eyes on the road. He was going to ruin us, he says. That's the short version. There is no short version of this, Claire snaps. There's no version where this ends well. Then stop pretending there is, he replies, too quickly. The words come out edged with something like relief. We passed that exit a long time ago. They don't speak again until they reach the storage facility on the outskirts of town, a place Ethan visited once with his father, years ago, when his father still believed in contingency plans. He parks between two rusted vans and cuts the engine. The sudden silence roars. Claire's hands are trembling now, openly. What are you doing? Cleaning up, Ethan says. He opens his door, and the cold night air rushes in. The smell hits him then, metallic and thick. He gags, once, quietly, and forces himself to move. He drags Mark's body out with more effort than he expects. The man is heavier dead, uncooperative. Claire turns away but doesn't leave. Ethan notices, files it somewhere distant. When it's done, when the blood is wiped, when the gun is wrapped, when the body is hidden among things no one ever comes back for. Ethan leans against the car and presses his forehead to the metal. His breath comes shallow, quick. For a moment, he waits for the collapse, the screaming, the moral reckoning everyone talks about in stories. It doesn't come. Instead, his phone buzzes. Claire freezes. Don't answer that. He looks at the screen. Unknown number. A text, not a call. He opens it. I know what you did. The world narrows to a pinprick. His ears ring. He types with numb thumbs. Who is this? The reply is immediate. Someone who's been waiting a long time for you to make a mistake. Claire is watching his face. What is it? Nothing. He lies. The word tastes thin. He slips the phone into his pocket. We need to go. They drive in silence again, but this time it's different. The silence has edges. Claire keeps rubbing at her sleeves like she can scrub the memory off. Ethan's mind races, not with guilt, but with logistics, with the sickening realization that this wasn't an end, but a beginning. At home, the apartment feels too clean, too bright. Claire sits on the couch and stares at the wall. Ethan pours 2 glasses of whiskey, hands one to her. She doesn't take it. I can't, she says. I can't feel like this. He downs his in one swallow. The burn barely registers. You don't get to choose the feeling. She looks up at him then, eyes glossy. You sound like him. The words land harder than anything else. Ethan opens his mouth, closes it. He thinks of Mark's voice, the way it always carried a faint note of superiority, even when he was joking. He thinks of how easy it would be to say something cruel now, to push back. I know, he says instead. Hours pass in fragments. Claire cries in the bathroom. Ethan sits at the kitchen table and waits for his phone to buzz again. When it does, near dawn, he almost feels grateful. Second message. This doesn't have to end badly for you. He types, "What do you want?" There's a pause this time, long enough for his pulse to climb. Then, "I want you to listen." Over the next days, listening becomes his primary occupation. The messages come at odd hours, instructions disguised as suggestions. Don't go to work today. Take the long way home. Check the third drawer in your father's desk. Each one tightens the net. Each one proves the sender knows too much. Claire withdraws. She barely speaks. When she does, it's with an edge of accusation she doesn't bother to hide. "You're not telling me something," she says one night. "I can see it." Ethan snaps back. "You think I don't know that?" Immediately regrets the tone. He softens his voice. "I'm trying to protect you." She laughs, brittle. "From what? Yourself?" He has no answer. The third week brings the first demand. "Meet me. Public place. No police." Ethan considers refusing, considers running. The idea collapses under its own weight. He agrees. The cafe is crowded. The man waiting for him looks ordinary, forgettable. That's the worst part. He smiles when Ethan sits. "Ethan," the man says. "I'm Daniel." They talk about nothing for 10 minutes. Coffee, weather. The illusion of normalcy is almost convincing. Then Daniel leans in. "You killed Mark," he says softly. "And you think it was because of Claire." Ethan's throat tightens. "It was." Daniel tilts his head. "No. It was because you needed to believe you still had control." Ethan stands abruptly. The chair scrapes. Heads turn. Daniel doesn't move. "Sit," Daniel says. "Or leave. Either way, this continues." Ethan sits. Daniel slides an envelope across the table. Inside are copies of the photographs Ethan thought only Mark had. And more. Things Ethan didn't know existed. "You work for me now," Daniel says. "Not because I enjoy power. Because this is how we both survive." Ethan thinks of Claire at home, pacing. Thinks of his father's voice, years ago. "There's always a cost. You just don't always get the invoice up front." "What do you want me to do?" he asks. Daniel smiles, small. "Something you're already good at." That night, Ethan doesn't tell Claire where he's been. She doesn't ask. The space between them fills with unspoken things, heavy and unstable. When she finally speaks, it's almost gentle. "I don't recognize you anymore," she says. He wants to tell her he never did. Instead, he says, "Neither do I." The next job isn't violent. That's almost worse. It's persuasion, pressure, a careful arrangement of truths and lies that leaves another man ruined and grateful. Ethan does it with a sick efficiency that frightens him. Daniel texts, "Well done." Claire finds the envelope a week later. She doesn't say anything at first, just sets it on the table between them. "How long?" she asks. "Not long," Ethan says, which is true and meaningless. "You're becoming someone else," she says, "and you're dragging me with you." He reaches for her. She pulls away. "Stop," she says. "Every time you touch me now, I see him in the car. I hear the sound." The distance becomes physical. Separate beds. Separate lives orbiting the same disaster. Ethan throws himself into Daniel's work because it's the only place the rules are clear. Every success buys him time. Every failure costs someone else something. When Claire finally leaves, bags packed, eyes hollow, Ethan doesn't stop her. He tells himself it's temporary. He tells himself a lot of things. Daniel's final message that week is simple. "You're ready for more responsibility." Ethan stares at the screen, heart pounding. Somewhere deep inside, a part of him recognizes the trap and steps into it anyway, because turning back would mean facing the thing he's been running from since the gun went off in the car. Because turning back would mean facing the thing he's been running from since the gun went off in the car. And Ethan exhales slowly, thumbs hovering over the screen as if the phone itself might bite him if he commits. "Ready," he types, and deletes it, then types again, "Yes," and sends it before his doubt can rearrange itself into fear. Daniel replies with an address and a time. No pleasantries, no explanation. The simplicity of it is its own kind of threat. Ethan doesn't sleep. He lies on his back, staring at the ceiling, listening to the apartment settle, to the distant sirens and the hum of traffic, cataloging every mistake he's made since the night Mark died. He tries to remember when his life started to feel like a series of reactions instead of choices. He thinks of Claire's empty side of the bed, the faint indentation where she used to sleep, and the way she flinched the last time he reached for her. The memory makes his chest ache, but it doesn't slow him down. It just sharpens something. At the address, a low concrete building near the river, Daniel is already waiting. He doesn't greet Ethan. He hands him a folder. "Read," he says. "Inside are profiles, names, faces, habits. Not criminals, not exactly. People balanced on edges. A city councilman with a gambling problem. A nonprofit director skimming just enough to convince herself it was temporary. A journalist whose source list could be turned against him." Ethan flips through, feeling the familiar tightening in his stomach. "This isn't," he starts. "Illegal?" Daniel finishes. "Some of it is, some of it isn't. All of it wowks." "What happens to them?" Daniel studies him for a moment. "What happened to Mark?" Ethan closes the folder. The echo of the gunshot flashes behind his eyes, uninvited. "That was different." "Was it?" Daniel asks. "You pulled the trigger because you believed the outcome justified the act. That belief is the only qualification you need." They walk through the plan, pressure points, timing, how to be present without being visible. Ethan listens, nods, asks questions that surprise him with their precision. When Daniel finally stops talking, there's a quiet satisfaction in his eyes. "You'll do fine," he says. "You already are." The work expands quickly. Days blur into nights filled with meetings and calls, and the careful orchestration of consequences. Ethan becomes good at reading people, at sensing when to push and when to retreat. He learns the relief that comes with giving someone a way out that still costs them something. He tells himself he's preventing worse outcomes. He tells himself he's maintaining balance. The lies are thin but functional. Claire doesn't call. He checks his phone anyway, reflexively, 100 times a day. When a message finally comes, it's not from her. "We need to talk," Daniel writes. In person, they meet at the cafe again, but Daniel's demeanor has shifted. There's an urgency now, a tightness around his mouth. "You made an impression," Daniel says. "That attracts attention." Ethan's pulse quickens. "From who?" Daniel slides another phone across the table. "From people who don't negotiate the way I do." On the screen, a video loads, grainy, handheld. Claire, stepping out of her building, phone to her ear. The timestamp is from that morning. Ethan's breath stutters. "You said, I didn't do this," Daniel says sharply. "But this is why you can't afford to make enemies." The implication hangs between them, heavy. Ethan pushes the phone back. "You're telling me this to scare me." "I'm telling you because if they reach her before you understand the stakes, you'll do something reckless," Daniel says. And reckless gets everyone killed. The familiar cold spreads through Ethan's limbs. He forces himself to breathe. "What do you want?" "I want you to finish what you started," Daniel says. "And I want you to trust that I'm the lesser evil." The phrase sticks with Ethan long after they part. Lesser evil. He drives aimlessly, phone clenched in his hand, until the city lights smear into something abstract. He doesn't go to Claire's building. He knows better than to make his fear that visible. Instead, he throws himself deeper into the work, into the illusion of control it provides. He anticipates threats, reroutes damage. He starts to feel indispensable. And that frightens him more than incompetence ever did. When Daniel praises him now, it lands differently, like a hook finding purchase. Weeks pass. Claire remains untouched, a silent promise that could be revoked at any time. Ethan learns to live with the tension, with the constant calculation of risk. He tells himself that once things stabilize, he'll get her out. He doesn't define when or how. The vagueness is a mercy. The first time he crosses a line, he swore he wouldn't. It's small, a planted document, a suggestion whispered to the wrong person. The fallout is contained, almost elegant. Ethan waits for the guilt. It doesn't come. Instead, there's a dull throb of something like disappointment, as if he expected more resistance from himself. Daniel notices. "You're adapting," he says. "That's good." "No," Ethan replies quietly. "It's not." Daniel smiles. "It is if you plan to survive." The message comes late one night, not from Daniel, but from the unknown number again, the one that started everything. "You think he's the only one watching?" Ethan's fingers hover over the keyboard. He deletes 3 responses before settling on, "Who are you?" A pause. Then, "Someone who doesn't want to see you disappear." Anger flares. "You threatened her," he types. "I warned you." The message comes back. Big difference. Ethan stands and paces the apartment, adrenaline surging. "What do you want?" "To see if you remember who you were," the reply says. "Before you decided becoming, this was easier." The words cut deeper than he expects. He types back, hands shaking. "You don't know me." The typing bubble appears, disappears. "Finally, I know enough." The messages stop. Ethan doesn't sleep. In the morning, he calls Daniel. There's someone else, he says without preamble. They're contacting me. Daniel is silent for a beat. Did they ask for anything? No. Then ignore them, Daniel says. Distraction is a tactic. Ethan thinks of the way the words lingered, precise and personal. I don't think they want something from me. Everyone wants something, Daniel replies. If they say they don't, it's because they're waiting. The advice makes sense. That's what bothers him. Claire finally calls 2 days later. Ethan answers on the first ring. I need help, she says. Her voice is flat, controlled in a way that scares him. Not from you, but you're the reason. He closes his eyes. Where are you? It doesn't matter, she says. What matters is that someone came to see me. They didn't hurt me. They wanted me to understand who you are now. Ethan's chest tightens. Did they tell you to say this? No, she snaps. They showed me things. Things you did. Things you justified. He sinks into a chair. The walls feel too close. I was trying to protect you. I didn't ask for this kind of protection, she says. I asked you to tell me the truth. He opens his mouth, then closes it. The truth feels too large, too fractured to be spoken. Are you safe? He asks instead. For now, she says. But I won't be if you keep doing what you're doing. The call ends abruptly. Ethan stares at the phone, the weight of the choice pressing down on him. For the first time since Mark's death, the path forward isn't just dangerous, it's undefined. Daniel calls an hour later, as if summoned by the shift. We have a problem, he says. One you caused by hesitating. Ethan almost laughs. You're kidding. I don't joke about leverage, Daniel replies. Meet me. This time, the meeting is tense from the start. Daniel lays out the situation. A rival group probing their operations, a leak somewhere in the chain. He watches Ethan closely as he speaks. You're compromised, Daniel says finally. Emotionally, Ethan bristles. I've done everything you asked. And that's why this is difficult, Daniel says. I need to know where your loyalties lie. The question is a blade. Ethan thinks of Claire's voice, of the unknown texter's words, of the version of himself that still flinches at certain memories. With you, he says, and hates how quickly it comes out. Daniel nods, satisfied. Good. Then you'll understand why I can't allow uncertainty. He slides a photograph across the table. It's of the journalist from the folder, the one with the dangerous source list. The man is smiling, unaware. I want you to handle this personally, Daniel says. Cleanly. Ethan's stomach drops. Handle how? Convince him to disappear, Daniel says. No records, no noise. The room seems to tilt. This is different. This isn't pressure or persuasion. This is erasure. I can't, Ethan says, before he can stop himself. Daniel's eyes harden. You can. I won't, Ethan corrects, and feels a strange clarity settle over him, sharp and terrifying. Daniel leans back, studying him. Is this about Claire? Ethan doesn't answer. Because if it is, Daniel continues, you should know that sparing one life here will cost you many later. Ethan thinks of Mark, of the way the world didn't end when he pulled the trigger. He thinks of the slow corrosion since. I won't do it, he repeats. Silence stretches. Finally, Daniel exhales. Then you leave me no choice. Ethan's phone buzzes. A new message from the unknown number. You see it now, don't you? Daniel watches his face. Who is that? Ethan looks up. For the first time, he considers lying. The thought flickers and dies. Someone who wants me to stop. Daniel smiles thinly. Then they want you dead. The meeting ends without resolution, which is worse than any threat. Ethan leaves with his heart pounding, the sense of inevitability closing in. He drives to Claire's building, reckless now, consequences be damned. He needs to see her, to anchor himself to something real. She opens the door a crack, chain still on. Her eyes widen when she sees him. You can't be here. I know, he says. I don't have much time. She hesitates, then unhooks the chain. The apartment smells unfamiliar, like a life he no longer belongs to. They stand facing each other, awkward and charged. They're going to make me do something I can't take back, he says. Again, Claire's jaw tightens. And you came here because you think I can absolve you? No, he says. I came because I don't want to become someone you're afraid of. She laughs, bitter. That already happened. The words sting, but they don't stop him. Then help me stop it from getting worse. She studies him for a long moment, searching his face. There's someone who contacted me, she says finally. They said they could get us out. Hope flares, dangerous and bright. Who? I don't know, she admits. They won't tell me. They said I had to decide if I trusted them. Ethan thinks of the messages. the precise cuts. They contacted me too. Claire's eyes widen. Then you know. I know enough to be scared, he says. She steps back, creating distance. If we do this, she says slowly, there's no going back. They made that clear. Ethan nods. There hasn't been a way back for a long time. Outside, a car idles. Ethan's phone buzzes again. Daniel, we need to talk. Now. Ethan silences the phone. He looks at Claire, at the woman whose life has been warped by his choices, and feels the weight of the next decision settle into his bones. Whatever he chooses now will fracture something irreparably. The only certainty is that standing still is no longer an option. Ethan watches Claire's face as if it's a map, and he's trying to find a route that doesn't end in fire. But her eyes won't give him anything easy. They're steady. Too steady. Like she's already decided something and is just waiting to see whether he's capable of catching up. Whoever they are, Ethan says, voice low. They're playing both sides. Claire's mouth tightens. Or they're the only side. That's what they want you to believe. And Daniel wants you to believe he's protecting you, she shoots back. How's that working out? Ethan flinches, not because she's wrong, but because her words land exactly where he's been trying not to look. He rubs his thumb against his palm, a motion he doesn't realize he's doing until he feels the friction. His body is full of small, repetitive rituals now, ways to bleed off panic without anyone seeing. You said, they can get us out, he says. Out how? Claire shakes her head. They didn't say. They said it would be messy, that we'd have to accept losing something. Ethan almost laughs again, but it comes out like a cough. We've been losing things the whole time. Not like this, Claire says. Not voluntarily. Her phone buzzes on the table behind her. She doesn't move toward it. Ethan's eyes track it anyway. Every vibration is a threat now. Every sound could be a hinge where everything swings. His own phone buzzes again, Daniel's name lighting up the screen. He ignores it. The silence after he silences it feels like he's just cut a wire in a bomb and is waiting to see if he chose the right one. Claire steps closer, stopping just far enough away that Ethan can't reach for her without making it a decision. If you stay in that world, she says, it's not just you that dies. It's whatever's left of us. And I'm not saying that like a romantic line. I'm saying it like a fact. Ethan hears the fatigue underneath her anger, the grief that has nowhere to settle. He wants to tell her he knows, that he's been living in the ruins too. He doesn't. The words feel cheap. Outside, the idling car's engine changes pitch, as if someone shifts in their seat. Ethan's spine tightens. He moves to the window, careful not to look obvious, and peers through the blinds. A dark sedan. Tinted windows. Not a police car. Not a random neighbor. The kind of vehicle that exists to be forgettable. His mouth goes dry. They're here. Claire's face drains. Who? Ethan doesn't answer. He watches the car as if staring hard enough might reveal intent. The sedan doesn't move. It just waits. Patient. Predatory. Claire whispers, you brought them. Ethan turns, anger flashing. I didn't know. That doesn't matter, she snaps back. It never matters. Things just happen around you, and I'm expected to pay the price. The accusation hits with a familiar sting. Mark's blood on the windshield, Claire's hands shaking, Ethan insisting he had no choice. The difference is that this time, he can't pretend the price is hypothetical. It's parked outside her building. Ethan's phone buzzes again. He doesn't look. Then it buzzes again. And again. As if Daniel has decided subtlety is wasted. Claire watches him like she might hate him and need him at the same time, both equally. Answer it, she says, voice tight. Maybe he can call them off. Ethan laughs, bitter. You think he's the one in the car? Claire's eyes flicker. Isn't he? Ethan doesn't know. That's what makes his stomach churn. Daniel has always been present, always controlling. But Daniel also warned him about another group. If Daniel is testing him, the sedan could be part of it. If Daniel is being honest, the sedan could be someone else entirely. Someone who doesn't send warnings. Ethan answers anyway, putting the call to his ear. Daniel's voice is calm, too calm. You're not at your apartment. Ethan's blood turns cold. How do you know that? A pause. Because if you were, you'd be dead already. Ethan grips the phone harder. Where is she? Daniel exhales, almost impatient. Don't pretend you're asking about Claire like it's about concern. You're asking because she's leverage. Ethan's voice goes sharp. You brought someone to her building. I didn't, Daniel says, and Ethan can hear the truth in it the way you can hear a door click shut. But I knew you would run to her. That's why I told you this would make you reckless. Claire is watching his face, reading the conversation through his silence. Ethan turns slightly away from her, not to hide, but because he can't bear the look he knows she'll give him when she hears. "What do you want?" Ethan says into the phone. Daniel's voice lowers. "I want you to come to me. Now. Alone." Ethan's eyes flick to the window. The sedan is still there. "If I leave, she's vulnerable." Daniel's laugh is small and cruel. "She's vulnerable because you exist. Don't confuse that with loyalty." Ethan's jaw clenches. "If anything happens to her, it won't be because of me," Daniel cuts in. "But it might be because you hesitate. The people outside, they're waiting to see what you choose. And if you choose her, they'll know you're weak." Ethan's throat tightens. "Weak. Yes," Daniel says, as if explaining a simple concept. "They don't want you dead because you're dangerous. They want you dead because you're unpredictable. Unpredictable men break deals." Ethan's chest feels constricted. "Where do I go?" Daniel gives him an address. Different from the river building. Shorter drive. More direct. A trap. His mind whispers, and another part of him says, "Everything is a trap now. Pick the one you can survive." The line goes dead. Claire's voice is hoarse. "What did he say?" Ethan doesn't answer immediately. He stares at her as if memorizing her face. She looks older than she did a month ago, not in a dramatic way, but in a subtle erosion around her eyes, in the stiffness of her shoulders. Ethan did that. Not directly, maybe, but his choices are in the shape of her. "He wants me to come alone," Ethan says. Claire's laugh is sharp. "Of course he does. He says the people outside are watching," Ethan continues, "waiting to see what I choose." Claire's lips part, then press together. "So he's making it a test." "Or they are," Ethan says. He walks toward her, stopping an arm's length away. "Do you trust the person who contacted you?" Claire swallows. "I trust that they hate Daniel." "That's not trust," Ethan mutters. "No." Claire agrees, voice low. "It's desperation." The word hangs between them, honest and ugly. Ethan nods, feeling it too. The desperation in his own chest is a physical thing now, like a hand gripping his ribs. Claire's phone buzzes again. This time she picks it up, glances at the screen, and her expression shifts fear, then something like determination. "It's them," she says. "Put it on speaker," Ethan says quickly. Claire hesitates, then taps. A voice fills the room, distorted slightly, as if through a cheap app, but steady. A woman's voice. Maybe. Or someone masking it. "Claire," the voice says. "You're not alone." Claire's knuckles are white around the phone. "Who are you?" "You can call me Mara," the voice says. "It's not my name. It's a placeholder, a kindness." Ethan steps closer. "You contacted me too." A brief pause, like the voice is smiling. "Ethan." The way she says his name makes his skin crawl. Not because it's intimate, because it's familiar, like she's been practicing it. "What do you want?" Ethan asks. "To prevent a chain reaction," Mara says. "Daniel is a node. You're a fuse. Claire is collateral, and the car outside is not Daniel's." Ethan's breath catches. "Who is it?" "A rival group," Mara says. "They don't care about you. They care about what you represent. Access. If they can take Claire, they can control you. If they can control you, they can infiltrate Daniel. It's efficient." Claire's voice trembles. "So what do we do?" Mara speaks quickly now. "Ethan, you're going to leave. You're going to go to Daniel. He's expecting you. He will offer you a deal. He will also threaten Claire. He will do both in the same sentence, because he believes that makes you obedient." Ethan's stomach twists. "And you?" "I'm getting Claire out," Mara says, "but she has to choose to leave with me. If she hesitates, they take her. If she goes, she disappears." Claire's eyes dart to Ethan. "Disappear?" "Yes," Mara says. "New name, new city, no contact, not yet. Not until Daniel is removed from the board." Ethan feels a spike of panic. "You're asking me to let her vanish." "I'm asking you to stop using her as your anchor," Mara says, voice turning cold. "Anchors drown people when ships are sinking." Ethan's jaw tightens. "Who are you to talk to me like that?" A pause. Then, softer. "Someone who watched Mark die and understood what it would turn you into." The room seems to drop a degree in temperature. Claire's face goes pale. Ethan's lungs feel too small. "You were there," Ethan says, voice raw. "In the car?" "No," Mara replies. "But I saw the aftermath. I saw the first crack, and I saw Daniel tighten his grip. I've been watching longer than you realize." Ethan's thoughts race. Surveillance, witnesses, the unknown number, the timing. He imagines a shadow just outside every moment he thought was private. The rage that rises is immediately swallowed by fear, because rage requires agency, and he doesn't feel like he has any. Claire whispers, "How do we know you won't hurt me?" Mara doesn't answer right away. When she does, her voice is almost gentle. "Because if I wanted to hurt you, Claire, you wouldn't be holding that phone. The people outside wouldn't be waiting. They'd already be inside." Claire's shoulders slump slightly, as if she hates that the logic makes sense. Ethan speaks, trying to keep his voice steady. "If she goes with you, you keep her safe." "Yes." "And if I go to Daniel," Ethan says, "I'm walking into a trap." "Yes," Mara replies, matter of fact. "But it's a trap you can navigate. You've learned the language. Daniel thinks he made you. He didn't. He just revealed what was always possible." Ethan flinches. "Don't." Mara continues anyway. "You're going to face a choice. Serve Daniel fully, or become a liability. If you become a liability, he will kill you. Not because he hates you, because he's practical." Claire's voice cracks. "This is insane." "It's reality," Mara says. "And reality doesn't care that you didn't ask for it." Ethan looks at Claire. The urge to pull her close rises like a reflex, but he doesn't move. He can't make touch a promise he might not be able to keep. Instead, he says quietly, "Do you want to go with her?" Claire stares at him for a long moment. Her eyes shine, but she doesn't cry. "Do I have a choice?" Ethan swallows. "Yes." She laughs softly, bitter. "That's new." He nods, feeling the weight of it. "I won't stop you." Claire's gaze drops, then lifts again. "If I go," she whispers, "what happens to you?" Ethan wants to say he'll follow, that he'll fix it, that he'll survive and find her. He can't say any of that without lying. He chooses a smaller truth. "I don't know," he admits. Claire's throat moves as she swallows hard. "I hate you," she says, voice barely audible. Ethan nods. "I know. And I still—" She stops. Her face twists with frustration, grief, something like love that feels like a betrayal of itself. "I still don't want you to die." The confession is a blade and a balm. Ethan's eyes sting, but he refuses to let tears fall. Tears feel like surrender. Mara's voice cuts in, urgent. "Time." They're moving. Ethan spins toward the window. The sedan's door opens. A figure steps out. Another. Their movements are slow, casual, like they're trying not to look like predators. That's what predators do when they're confident. Claire's breath hitches. "Oh my God." Mara's voice is sharp now. "Claire, grab your keys. A bag. Nothing else. Go down the back stairwell. Now." "Ethan, you need to leave through the front. You need to draw their attention." Ethan's pulse spikes. "And if they shoot?" "They won't," Mara says. "Not yet. They want you alive. They want you controlled." Claire is already moving, hands shaking as she snatches a small bag from the closet. Ethan watches her like he's watching the last stable point in his life detach and float away. "Claire," he says, voice breaking despite his effort. She pauses, turns. For a moment, her face softens. She steps toward him, close enough that he can smell her shampoo, the familiar note that makes his throat close. "Don't do anything heroic," she whispers. "You're not good at it." His laugh comes out rough. "I'm not heroic. I know," she says, and something in her tone makes it worse. "Just don't become worse than you already are." He wants to protest. He can't. She's already turning away. Ethan forces himself to move. He grabs his coat, the gun he keeps in a drawer now, like an ugly comfort, and heads for the door. His hand pauses on the knob. He hears Claire's footsteps toward the back. He hears Mara's voice still on the line, guiding her. Ethan opens the door and steps into the hallway. The air outside is cold and damp. The streetlights cast long shadows. He walks toward the front steps deliberately, forcing his pace to remain steady. Every part of his body wants to sprint, to vanish, to undo. He can't. The figures by the sedan notice him immediately. One of them smiles and starts walking toward him, hands visible, posture relaxed. A performance. "Ethan," the man calls, voice friendly. "Hey, we just want to talk." Ethan stops on the sidewalk. He keeps his hands at his sides. He forces his face into something neutral. "I don't know you," Ethan says. The man laughs lightly. "Sure you do. Maybe not personally, but you know what we represent." Ethan feels his heart hammer. "And what's that?" "Opportunity," the man says. "We heard you're talented. We heard Daniel's been using you. That's a shame. You deserve better." Behind him, Ethan hears a door open somewhere, back stairwell perhaps. His muscles tense. He can't turn his head without revealing too much. The man continues, "We can make your life easier. We can make Claire's life easier too." The casual mention of her name makes Ethan's vision narrow. He takes a slow breath. "Don't say her name." The man's smile widens. Oh, we're not here to hurt her. Not if you cooperate. Ethan's fingers flex. He thinks of Mark's blood. He thinks of the way the gun felt in his hand. He thinks of how easy it was to do something irreversible. Where is Daniel? Ethan asks instead. The man's eyebrows lift. Going to him, huh? That's cute. Loyalty. Ethan forces a shrug. Habit. The man steps closer, lowering his voice. Daniel is a sinking ship. You know that. We can offer you a lifeboat. Ethan's phone vibrates in his pocket. Daniel, again, probably. He ignores it. The man notices the vibration anyway and laughs softly. He's calling you, the man says. He always calls when he senses a shift, like a dog hearing thunder. Ethan's jaw tightens. What do you want from me? The man spreads his hands. A meeting. An introduction. You bring us to Daniel, or you bring Daniel to us. Either way, we take over. You keep your skin. Claire stays breathing. Everyone wins. Ethan hears footsteps behind him, faint. Someone slipping out a back exit. His stomach clenches. He has to keep them focused on him. No, Ethan says, clear and flat. The man's smile fades a fraction. Think carefully. I am, Ethan replies. And the answer is no, the man sighs. Okay, then we do it the hard way. Ethan's blood spikes. What hard way? The man looks past Ethan, toward the building, as if noticing something. Ethan feels panic flare. He forces himself to step into the man's line of sight, blocking the view. The man's gaze returns to Ethan. His voice softens again, persuasive. Ethan, you're already dirty. You already crossed the point of no return. Why cling to Daniel? He doesn't love you. He doesn't even respect you. He uses you. Ethan's throat tightens. The words are true enough to hurt. He keeps his face blank. You don't know what he respects, Ethan says. The man chuckles. He respects control. And you're slipping. Ethan's phone vibrates again. He finally pulls it out, glances at the screen. A text this time. Answer, or you lose her. Ethan's stomach drops. Daniel doesn't know she's leaving. Unless he does. Unless Mara is compromised. Unless everything is collapsing at once. Ethan looks up at the man from the sedan. You didn't bring that message, he says quietly. The man's eyebrows lift. What message? Ethan doesn't answer. He steps back slowly, eyes darting. The man's smile returns, amused now. You see? Everyone's pulling your strings. At least with us, you'd know whose hand it is. Ethan hears a car start behind the building. Tires crunch on gravel. Claire. He prays it's Claire. He keeps his face neutral. I'm going to Daniel, Ethan says. The man shrugs. Go. We'll follow. Ethan's pulse spikes again. If you follow, we'll do what we have to, the man says. You're not in charge here. Ethan feels something inside him snap. Not rage, not courage, but a hard, cold acceptance. This is what Mara meant. No clean choices. Saving one damages another. If he runs to Daniel now, he leads these people to him. If he refuses, they go after Claire. If he tries to fight, he dies on the sidewalk and the outcome is the same. He turns and walks, forcing his legs to move at a controlled pace. And the men fall in behind him, a few paces back, not rushing, confident he can't vanish. Ethan gets into his car and drives. The sedan follows. His hands grip the wheel so tightly his knuckles ache. His mind runs scenarios, each worse than the last. Daniel's threat, Mara's plan, Claire disappearing into a new life that might not exist. Ethan feels like he's being pulled apart from the inside. Not by guilt, but by competing versions of himself. One that wants to burn everything down, and one that wants to salvage something, anything, from the wreckage. He arrives at Daniel's address, a sleek building with a private garage. Security cameras visible, subtle. Daniel's territory. Ethan pulls in, and the sedan slows at the entrance, hesitating as if deciding whether to push in. Ethan's phone rings. Daniel. He answers without greeting. They followed me. Daniel's voice is calm, almost bored. I know. Ethan's blood turns cold. You said it wasn't you. It wasn't, Daniel says. But I anticipated it. That's the difference between us. The garage door opens. Ethan drives in. The sedan stops outside, blocked. For now, Daniel's voice continues. Come upstairs. Ethan exits his car. The garage smells like oil and clean concrete. A door at the back opens, and Daniel's assistant, silent, expressionless, gestures him inside. Ethan rides the elevator up, feeling like he's ascending into a judgment he can't escape. When the doors open, Daniel is waiting in an office that looks too normal for what happens there. Glass walls, minimalist furniture, a view of the river like a postcard. Daniel gestures to a chair. Ethan doesn't sit. Where is Claire? Ethan demands. Daniel's eyes flicker, barely. Not here. That's not an answer. Daniel leans back. You're asking the wrong question. Ethan's pulse hammers. Then what's the right one? Daniel's voice softens slightly, almost paternal. The right question is, who told her to run? Ethan freezes. What? Daniel watches him, gaze sharp. You did, indirectly. You went to her. You brought danger to her doorstep. Someone contacted her. Someone offered her an exit. And now you're here, looking like a man who just realized he's not the only one with a plan. Ethan's throat tightens. Mara. Daniel smiles slowly. Ah. She gave you a name. Ethan's stomach drops. You know her. I know of her, Daniel corrects. She has a habit of rescuing people from burning buildings. She likes to feel righteous. Ethan's hands clench. Is she real? Daniel's smile widens. Oh, she's real. The question is whether she's on your side. Ethan feels dizzy. She's getting Claire out. Daniel's tone turns clinical. Or she's moving Claire into a position where she can be used against you more effectively. Ethan steps forward, anger flaring. You're lying. Daniel's eyes narrow. Am I? Let's test it. He taps his phone. A screen on the wall lights up. Surveillance footage. Claire in a parking lot, getting into a car. A woman in a hooded jacket opens the passenger door for her. The camera angle doesn't show the woman's face clearly, but her movements are controlled, confident. Ethan's chest tightens. That's Mara, Daniel says. Or someone playing her. Ethan watches, heart pounding, as the car drives away. The footage cuts. Another clip. The same car passing an intersection. Another cut. The car entering a tunnel. Then nothing. Daniel looks at Ethan. Notice something? Ethan's throat is dry. What? The route, Daniel says. It's not random. It's toward a border crossing. Ethan's mind races. That's good. Getting her out. Daniel's voice drops. Or handing her to someone else. Ethan's hands shake. Why are you showing me this? Daniel leans forward, voice sharpened. Because I need you focused. The rival group outside? They'll keep trying. Mara? She'll keep nudging you toward chaos. And you? You'll keep running toward whatever feels like redemption. That makes you dangerous. Ethan swallows hard. Then what do you want? Daniel's eyes lock onto his. I want you to choose me. Fully. No more hesitation. No more secret conversations. No more pretending you're still the man you were before the car. Ethan feels the trap close. And if I don't? Daniel's expression doesn't change, but the room feels colder. Then you become a liability, and liabilities get removed. Ethan's mind flashes to the journalist, the erasure Daniel requested. He hears Mara's warning. Daniel will kill you, because he's practical. And Claire? Ethan asks, voice raw. What happens to her if I choose you? Daniel's smile is faint. If you choose me, I will retrieve her. I will bring her back under my protection. Ethan's stomach turns. Protection. Daniel's eyes narrow. Don't make it poetic. She'll be alive. She'll be safe. She'll also understand that her safety depends on your obedience. Ethan feels like he might vomit. He grips the back of the chair in front of him, knuckles white. You're using her. Daniel's voice turns hard. Yes, because you taught me it works. The words hit like a slap. Ethan's mouth opens, then closes. His mind spins, grasping at any route that doesn't require him to surrender completely. Daniel watches him struggle. And there's something almost like disappointment in his gaze. You still think there's a third option, he says. There isn't. Ethan's phone buzzes in his pocket. He doesn't look. He already knows it could be Mara, or the rival group, or Claire if she's still in range. Every buzz is a knife. Daniel's eyes flick to Ethan's pocket. Answer it. Ethan hesitates. Daniel's voice sharpens. Answer it. In front of me. Ethan pulls the phone out with shaking hands. The screen shows an unknown number. Mara. He taps accept, puts it on speaker. Mara's voice is urgent. Ethan. He's lying. Claire is not safe. Daniel's mouth curves into a small smile, like a man watching a predictable play. Ethan's throat tightens. Where is she? Mara's voice drops, strained. We were intercepted. Claire's name is spoken in the background. Claire's voice, faint, frightened. Ethan's blood turns to ice. Mara, Ethan says, voice cracking. What happened? A pause. Mara speaks carefully, as if choosing words that won't ignite something. We're alive, for now. But you need to understand. Daniel knew the route. He knew the timing. He let the rival group follow you. He let them get close. He's forcing you into a corner. Daniel's smile fades slightly. She's dramatic, he murmurs. Ethan's hands shake violently now. Claire, he says into the phone. Claire, can you hear me? A faint sound breathing, a muffled sob, then Claire's voice, trembling. Ethan, what did you do? The question is not accusation. It's despair. It's the sound of someone realizing the ground is not solid anywhere. Ethan's eyes sting. I'm trying, he whispers. Claire's voice breaks. Stop trying. Just stop. I can't. A harsh sound interrupts someone, grabbing the phone. Fabric scraping. Mara's voice returns, tighter. Ethan, listen. If you choose Daniel now, he will retrieve her by taking her away from you permanently. If you refuse, the rival group will use her to break you. The only way out is to break Daniel's hold entirely. Daniel leans forward, eyes cold. Mara, he says into the speaker, voice smooth. You're in over your head. Mara goes silent for a beat, then softly. Hello, Daniel. The way she says it makes Ethan's stomach drop again. There's history there, buried and sharp. Daniel's smile returns. You always did like theatrics. Mara's voice hardens. And you always did like turning people into tools. Daniel's tone is almost amused. It's efficient. Mara's reply is immediate. It's cowardice. Daniel's eyes flick to Ethan. Hang up. Ethan's throat tightens. If I hang up, she dies. Daniel's voice turns flat. If you don't hang up, you die. Ethan's breath catches. The weight of the choice crushes him. He looks at Daniel, at the man who built a world out of leverage and called it survival. He thinks of Claire's voice, faint, asking what he did. He thinks of Mark's blood, the first irreparable act that opened all of this. He realizes something with a cold clarity. Daniel is not offering him safety. Daniel is offering him ownership. A collar with the illusion of protection. Ethan's hand trembles over the screen. He doesn't hang up. He speaks. Voice low but clear, into the phone. Mara, he says, tell me what to do. Daniel's face hardens instantly. Mara's voice is sharp, urgent. Say yes to Daniel, out loud. Make him believe it. Then get out of the building. There's a back stairwell. I'll guide you. Ethan's heart pounds so hard it hurts. He looks at Daniel. Daniel's eyes narrow. Ethan. Ethan forces his face into something compliant, something he's practiced. He nods slowly. You're right, he says to Daniel, voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. There isn't a third option. Daniel's shoulders relax a fraction, satisfied. Ethan continues, so I choose you. Daniel smiles. Mara's voice hisses through the speaker, barely audible. Now, move. Ethan's lungs burn. He forces a calm exhale, as if sealing the lie in place. He takes a step back, then another, as if to sit, as if to submit. Daniel watches, pleased. Ethan pivots instead, sudden, sprinting toward the glass door at the side of the office. Daniel's voice cracks like a whip. Stop him. Footsteps thunder behind Ethan. He slams through the door into a corridor, heart racing, brain screaming. He hears a security door click, locks shifting. Mara's voice in his ear, rapid instructions. Left, stairs, down. Ethan doesn't question. He runs, breath ragged, adrenaline washing out thought. His shoulder slams into the stairwell door. It flies open. He takes the stairs two at a time, hearing footsteps behind him, closer than he wants. His phone is still on speaker. Mara's voice is a lifeline and a leash. Don't go to the garage, she warns. They'll be waiting. Exit on level B, service door. Ethan's lungs feel like they're tearing. He hits level B and shoves through the service door into a dim hallway that smells like bleach and old water. Ahead, an emergency exit sign glowing green. He pushes through and bursts out into an alley behind the building. Cold air hits his face. The city sounds are muffled here, distant. A van is parked at the alley's mouth, engine running. Mara's voice is urgent. Get in. Ethan hesitates for half a second, scanning. The van's windows are dark. The driver's face is obscured. This could be another trap. Behind him, the service door bangs open. A man in a suit appears, eyes locking onto Ethan. Ethan doesn't think. He sprints to the van and yanks the door open. Inside, a woman sits in the passenger seat, hood down now. Her face is sharp, pale, eyes intense. She looks older than Ethan expected. Late 30s maybe, with the kind of expression that doesn't soften easily. Mara, Ethan gasps. She doesn't smile. Get in, now. Ethan climbs in, slams the door. The van lurches forward instantly, tires squealing slightly. Ethan twists to look out the back window. The man from the building is already on his phone, shouting. Another vehicle starts in the garage entrance, headlights flashing. Mara turns to Ethan, her gaze cutting. You just declared loyalty to Daniel. Ethan's throat tightens. It was a lie. It was believable, Mara says. That's why it worked. Ethan's hands are shaking uncontrollably. Where's Claire? Mara's jaw tightens. For the first time, something like genuine emotion flickers across her face. Anger, frustration, fear masked by control. Not with us, she says. We lost the window. Ethan's chest feels like it collapses. You said you could get her out. I could, Mara snaps. If you hadn't shown up and lit the whole street on fire. The accusation hits hard. Ethan's voice rises, cracked. I was trying to help. Mara's eyes blaze. No. You were trying to feel like you still matter to her. You wanted to be the person who saved her because you can't stand being the person who destroyed her. Ethan goes still, the words slicing cleanly through his defenses. He stares at her, mouth open, unable to deny it, because the truth is suddenly obvious and unbearable. Mara leans closer, voice lower. Listen to me. Claire is alive. She's being moved. The rival group has her because Daniel allowed it. He wants you desperate. He wants you crawling back. And if you do, he wins. Ethan's vision blurs. Then what do I do? Mara's expression hardens again. Professional. You do what you've been avoiding since the car. You stop reacting. You choose a target. And you dismantle it. Ethan swallows hard. Daniel. Mara nods. Daniel. Ethan's mind reels. The idea feels impossible, like trying to tear down a building with bare hands. But the alternative is worse. Surrender, ownership. Claire is a hostage forever. Mara watches him, as if reading the shift in him, the moment something turns from fear to resolve. You're not going to get to be a good man again, she says quietly. Not cleanly, not soon, maybe not ever. Ethan's voice is hoarse. I don't care about being good. Mara's eyes narrow. That's dangerous. Ethan looks out the window at the passing streets, at strangers walking unaware, at a life that keeps moving. I care about stopping, he says. Stopping this. Mara holds his gaze for a long beat. Then she nods, once, decisive. Okay, she says. Then we start with the one thing Daniel can't tolerate. Ethan's throat tightens. What? Mara's voice is flat. Uncertainty. Ethan's phone buzzes in his hand, as if summoned by the mention. Daniel's number. Ethan stares at it, heartbeat pounding. Mara watches the screen. Answer, she says. Ethan's hand shakes as he lifts the phone to his ear. He keeps his voice steady, forcing calm. Daniel. Daniel's voice is cold. Where are you? Ethan swallows. Leaving. Daniel laughs, humorless. You're not leaving anything. You're borrowing time. Ethan's eyes flick to Mara. She gives him a small, sharp nod. Keep him talking. You don't have Claire, Ethan says, testing. A pause on the line, almost imperceptible. Then Daniel's voice smooths. I can. Ethan's stomach drops. So you don't. Daniel's silence is a confession. Ethan's pulse spikes, but also, beneath it, something like clarity settles. Daniel's voice turns hard. Who are you with? Ethan's throat tightens. No one. Daniel sighs. Ethan. You're making this complicated. Come back. I will fix it. Fix it. Like an appliance. Like a mess. Like Claire is a loose end. Ethan's voice goes colder. You can't fix what you did. Daniel's tone sharpens. What I did? Ethan feels the lie burn in his throat, but he pushes anyway. You let them take her. A pause. Daniel speaks slowly. You're emotional. That makes you sloppy. Ethan's chest tightens. He hears Mara's words. Uncertainty. He leans into it. I'm not sloppy, Ethan says softly. I'm awake. Daniel's breathing changes, a subtle sign of irritation. You think you're awake because you ran. That's not awakening. That's panic. Ethan smiles faintly, a grim twist. Then why are you calling? Silence. Then Daniel's voice lowers. Dangerous. Because you belong to me. The words land like a collar snapping shut. Ethan's hand tightens around the phone until his fingers hurt. Mara watches him, eyes sharp. She mouths. Push. Ethan's throat is dry. If I belong to you, he says carefully, then you should know where I am. Daniel's voice goes still. Excuse me? Ethan's pulse hammers, but he keeps his tone calm. You said you anticipate everything, he says. So anticipate this. The line is silent for a long beat. Ethan can almost hear Daniel's mind working, recalculating. That silence is the crack. The uncertainty. Daniel speaks finally, voice controlled. You're with Mara. Ethan doesn't answer. Daniel continues, voice colder. She will get you killed. Ethan exhales slowly. You already did, he says, and hangs up. His hand shakes so hard he almost drops the phone. Mara watches him, something like approval in her eyes. That, she says quietly, was the first real choice you've made in weeks. Ethan stares at his trembling hands, at the phone, at the life that is now undeniably split. And Claire? He whispers. Mara's expression hardens again. Now we go get her, she says. But understand this, getting her back won't make her yours again. It won't erase what you are. Ethan's throat tightens. I don't want to own her. Mara's gaze is sharp. Good. Then don't pretend saving her will save you. Ethan looks out the window, the city blurring past, and feels the weight of the next phase settle into him like a heavy coat. He doesn't feel heroic. He doesn't feel redeemed. He feels hunted and determined and terrified of the person he might have to become to end this. He doesn't feel heroic. He doesn't feel redeemed. He feels hunted and determined and terrified of the person he might have to become to end this. The van hums under him like an animal trying not to draw attention, weaving through side streets that avoid cameras and predictable patterns. Mara sits forward, one elbow on her knee, eyes flicking between the road and a second phone in her hand. The driver doesn't speak. Ethan doesn't ask his name. Names are dangerous now, because names become attachments, and attachments become leverage. Mara taps the screen, frowning. They're moving her faster than I expected. Ethan swallows. His tongue feels thick. Where? Mara doesn't look at him. A safe house. Not Daniel's. The rival group's. They'll hold her long enough to make contact, long enough to make demands. Then they'll trade her or sell her. Ethan's hands curl into fists on his thighs. To Daniel. Maybe, Mara says. Or to someone worse. Daniel is organized. He calculates. But they're opportunistic. The word lands wrong, like she's describing a storm with a polite forecast. Ethan's chest tightens. You said Daniel, let them take her. He did, Mara replies. He allowed the conditions. He didn't have to physically open the door. He only had to stop protecting it. Ethan looks at her profile, sharp lines, controlled breathing, and he suddenly hates how calm she is. Not because she isn't scared, because she's trained herself to package fear into strategy. Ethan wants to tear that packaging open and scream. How do you know all of this? He asks. His voice comes out harsher than he intends. Mara's jaw tightens slightly. Because I've been inside that machinery, she says. Not as a victim, as a part. Ethan's stomach drops. You worked with Daniel. I worked near him, she corrects. In a network that overlapped. You learned to recognize patterns. Ethan hears the evasion. It makes his skin crawl. Were you the one who texted me first? Mara's eyes flick to him, then away. No. Then who? Ethan presses. Because someone knew before I knew. Someone knew everything. Mara exhales through her nose, a controlled release. There are always watchers, she says. Some watch for profit, some watch for revenge, some watch because they can't stop watching. Ethan feels his pulse spike. That doesn't answer me. Mara leans back slightly, turning toward him. Her eyes are hard. You want a person, a face, a villain you can aim at so you don't have to accept that your life became a surveillance system the moment you stepped into Daniel's orbit. Ethan's throat tightens. I didn't step in. I was dragged. Mara's gaze doesn't soften. You stepped in when you pulled the trigger. The van hits a pothole, and Ethan's shoulder jolts. The memory flashes Mark's head against the windshield. The spray of blood. Claire's whisper. Ethan's stomach twists. His mouth goes dry. You keep saying that, he says, like you want me to carry it like a badge. I want you to carry it like a weight, Mara replies. Because if you start treating it like a badge, you become Daniel. Ethan's breath catches. He looks away, out the window. The city slides by in fragments. A couple arguing outside a convenience store, a dog tugging its leash, a mother lifting a child into a car seat. Ordinary life, the kind he used to believe he belonged to. Now, it looks staged, like a set he could walk through but never inhabit again. Tell me the plan, Ethan says, voice low. Mara's tone shifts instantly into operational. We don't storm the safe house, she says. That's what they expect. They'll have Claire positioned where her screams carry, where her fear can be piped into a phone call for you. They want you impulsive. Ethan's jaw clenches. So, what do we do? Mara taps her phone again. We make them think they have more leverage than they do, she says. We force them to contact Daniel. When they do, we listen, and we use that to cut Daniel's lines. Ethan's mind races. How do you force them? Mara looks at him now, eyes sharp. By giving them the thing they actually want. Ethan's stomach drops. Me. Mara doesn't blink. Yes. Ethan laughs, a broken sound. So, I'm bait. You already are, Mara says. The difference is whether you let yourself be used passively or actively. Ethan's hands shake again, small tremors he can't control. If I go to them, they kill me. They won't, Mara replies immediately. Not yet. You're valuable while you're alive. You're a key. Dead keys don't open doors. Ethan's throat tightens. And if they decide I'm too risky? Mara's gaze holds his. Then you become a story, a warning, and Claire becomes a message. Ethan's vision blurs for a second. He squeezes his eyes shut, forces air into his lungs. The van feels too small, too trapped. I don't want her to be a message. Then don't let her, Mara says quietly. The driver speaks for the first time, voice low, accented. We're close. Mara sits forward again. Good, she says. Ethan, listen carefully. You're going to do what you do best. Ethan's voice is hoarse. And what's that? Mara's mouth twists slightly. You convince people they're making their own choice. They pull into an underground parking structure under a half-finished building. The concrete pillars are marked with spray paint. The lights flicker. Mara leads Ethan out, and the air smells like dust and old oil. The driver stays in the van, engine idling, ready. Mara guides Ethan up a stairwell and into an empty floor of the building. The windows are missing, just open frames letting in cold air. City lights glitter through the skeletal structure. It feels like standing inside a ribcage. Mara sets a small device on the floor. A signal booster. Maybe. She taps her phone, then looks at Ethan. Your phone, she says. Give it to me. Ethan hesitates. Mara's eyes narrow. You don't trust me. Ethan's throat tightens. I don't trust anyone. Mara nods once, as if accepting it. Good. Then trust the logic. If they track you, you're dead before you reach Claire. If they track your phone, you're dead because you're predictable. Ethan hands it over. His skin feels exposed immediately, as if the phone was armor. Mara hands him another device, an older phone, wiped, anonymous. This one rings when I want it to, she says. You do not use it for anything else. Ethan takes it, feeling like he's accepting a new chain. Mara steps closer, lowering her voice. I'm going to call Daniel from your number, she says. He will believe you're with your phone. He will track it. He will move resources. We want that. Ethan's chest tightens. And the rival group? They're already tracking you, Mara says. But they'll also be watching Daniel. They want to see who reaches for you. If Daniel moves, they'll move. Ethan stares at her. You're pulling them into the same room. Mara's eyes are cold. Yes. Ethan's stomach twists. That could get Claire killed. Mara's jaw tightens. Claire is already in danger. This is how we compress it into a moment we can control. Control. The word tastes bitter. Ethan nods anyway, because the alternative is waiting while someone else decides the shape of Claire's suffering. Mara begins typing. Ethan watches her fingers move with practiced speed. She's calm. That calm feels like an insult to his panic. The anonymous phone in Ethan's hand buzzes. A single text appears. When you're ready, bleed. Ethan's throat tightens. He looks at Mara. Did you send that? Mara glances at his screen, expression unreadable. No, she says. That's not my style. Ethan's pulse spikes. Then who? Mara's eyes flick around the empty floor, as if the building itself might answer. Someone who enjoys symbolism, she says. Ignore it. Ethan's fingers hover over the screen. Bleed. The word feels like a prediction. Mara's phone rings. Daniel. She answers, putting it on speaker, but turning slightly away so her mouth isn't visible if anyone is watching through the open frames. Her voice shifts subtly different, a cadence that mimics Ethan's. It's unsettling, like hearing your own voice come from someone else's throat. Daniel, she says, sounding like Ethan. Daniel's voice is sharp. Where are you? Mara pauses, letting breath shake slightly, like Ethan's fear. I'm alone, she says. I need to talk. Daniel's tone softens just enough to be dangerous. Come back. Mara, still Ethan says. They have Claire. Silence. Then Daniel's voice controlled. Who has her? Mara glances at Ethan, a question in her eyes. Do you want him to know? Ethan's chest tightens. He nods once. They do, Mara says into the speaker. The people you warned me about. They took her. Daniel exhales slowly. I can fix this. Mara lets desperation creep into her tone. How? Daniel's voice is smooth. You come to me. We will retrieve her. Mara's voice breaks slightly, convincing. If I come to you, they'll follow. Daniel's tone shifts, colder. Let them. Ethan's stomach drops. Daniel wants the collision. He wants an excuse to eliminate rivals, and Claire is a pawn in that extermination. Mara says, voice trembling, What if they heard her? Daniel's reply is immediate, ruthless. Then you learn why obedience matters. Ethan's vision narrows. His hands shake. Mara meets his eyes, and for a split second, something like sympathy flashes, then it hardens. Mara says into the speaker, "Tell me where to go." Daniel gives an address. A location Ethan recognizes. The river building again. The first place Daniel taught him the rules. Mara ends the call. She pockets Ethan's phone. The silence after is thick. Ethan's voice is low, dangerous. He doesn't care if they heard her. Mara nods. "No," she says. "He cares about whether you break." Ethan's nails dig into his palm. "And the rival group? Where are they?" Mara taps on her phone. "We'll know when they move," she says. "For now, we prepare you." Ethan's laugh is hollow. "Prepare me for what?" Mara steps closer. "For the moment they put Claire on the phone and she begs you," she says. "For the moment you hear her cry, and your body wants to run. You need to be able to stay still." Ethan's throat tightens. "I can't." Mara's gaze is hard. "You must." Ethan turns away, staring out at the city through the open frame. Wind whistles through the concrete skeleton. He tries to imagine Claire in a room somewhere, terrified, being watched. He imagines her eyes searching for him in her mind, the way she used to look at him when she wanted him to explain why something was wrong. Ethan feels something tear inside him, not cleanly, but in jagged strands. "Why are you doing this?" he asks suddenly, not turning back. "If you hate Daniel, why not just kill him?" Mara's voice behind him is quiet. "Because killing him creates a vacancy," she says. "Vacancies get filled by worse men." Ethan's jaw tightens. "So you're playing manager of evil." Mara's laugh is short. "Call it what you want," she says. "I call it containment." Ethan turns to face her. "Containment for who?" Mara's eyes hold his. "For people like Claire," she says. "And for people like you, before you become Daniel." Ethan's chest tightens. "You keep saying that, like it's inevitable." Mara steps closer, voice lowering. "It is, if you keep treating guilt like a shortcut to meaning," she says. "You think suffering makes you noble. It doesn't. It just makes you easier to control." Ethan feels the words lodge somewhere deep. He hates that they make sense. The anonymous phone buzzes again. Another message from the unknown number. "Your blood opens doors." Ethan's mouth goes dry. He shows Mara. Mara's eyes narrow. "They're watching us," she says. Ethan's pulse spikes. "Who?" Mara's voice is clipped. "Could be Daniel. Could be the rivals. Could be a third party with their own agenda," she says. "Either way, we move." The driver appears at the stairwell, calling softly, "Now." They descend quickly, slipping back into the van. The city outside feels brighter now, more hostile, like every streetlight is an eye. Ethan's nerves are raw. Mara speaks to the driver in a low voice, giving directions. They drive toward the river building, but not directly. They circle, weave, stop briefly under an overpass, then move again. "Why the detours?" Ethan asks. Mara's gaze stays on her screen. "To see if we're followed," she says, "and to force anyone following to reveal themselves." Ethan's stomach twists. "And if they don't reveal?" Mara looks at him, expression flat. "Then we assume they're better than us," she says. The van slows near the river building but doesn't enter. Mara points. "There," she says. Across the street, a black SUV idles, different from the earlier sedan. Two men sit inside. Another vehicle is parked behind them, engine off, people waiting. "The rivals?" Ethan asks. Mara nods. "Yes," she says. "They're here because Daniel moved. He moved because I called." Ethan's chest tightens. "So now what?" Mara's voice drops. "Now we bait the hook." She hands Ethan a small packet, thin, like a folded piece of paper inside plastic. "Put that under your tongue," she says. Ethan recoils. "What is it?" "Something that will make your mouth bleed," Mara replies. "Nothing lethal, just enough." Ethan freezes. The messages. "Bleed. Blood opens doors." "You're kidding," he says, voice strained. Mara's gaze is unwavering. "You want them to believe you're desperate enough to hurt yourself," she says. "Desperate men are easier to manipulate. That's what they think. We use it." Ethan's stomach churns. "This is insane." Mara's voice turns sharp. "Claire is in a room somewhere because you pulled a trigger," she says. "Don't talk to me about insane. Put it under your tongue." Ethan's hands shake as he opens the packet. Inside is a tiny strip, like paper. He hesitates, then places it under his tongue. A bitter taste spreads immediately. His mouth starts to water. His heart pounds. Mara leans in. "You're going to walk toward the building," she says. "You're going to let them see you. You're going to let the rivals approach you before you enter." When they do, you give them what they want. Uncertainty about whether Daniel still owns you. Ethan swallows carefully, tasting bitterness and already faint metallic. And Daniel? Daniel will be watching, Mara says. He will see you hesitate. He will panic. Not outwardly, internally. That's what we need. Ethan's palms are slick. What if the rivals grab me? Mara's eyes are hard. Let them, she says. Just long enough. Ethan's throat tightens. Long enough for what? Mara's voice is low. Long enough for Daniel to reveal where Claire is. Ethan stares at her. He won't. Mara's expression shifts. Just slightly. He will, she says. Because he can't tolerate losing control of you. And the fastest way to regain control is to show you he still controls what you care about. Ethan's tongue burns. He tastes blood now, faint, spreading. His pulse spikes. Mara touches his shoulder briefly, firm. You can do this, she says, not as comfort, but as command. Ethan opens the van door. Cold air rushes in. He steps out, legs unsteady. The street feels too open, too exposed. He keeps his face neutral, jaw clenched. As he walks, he feels the blood in his mouth. Warm, real. He spits discreetly onto the sidewalk when no one is looking, and the dark spot on the concrete looks obscene, like a signature. The black SUV's door opens. A man steps out, the same man who spoke to him at Claire's building. He smiles as if greeting an old friend. Ethan, the man calls. You came to the right place. Ethan stops a few feet away. He keeps his posture controlled. His tongue aches. He forces his voice steady. You followed me. The man shrugs. We watched, he says. Following implies effort. This is just curiosity. Ethan's mouth fills with more blood. He swallows carefully, eyes locked on the man. Where is she? The man's smile widens. Ah, he says. Straight to it. I like that. Ethan's fingers flex. Where is Claire? The man steps closer, lowering his voice. Safe, he says. For now, safer than she'd be with Daniel. Because we're not interested in hurting her. We're interested in you. Ethan's chest tightens. Then let her go. The man laughs softly. You're still pretending she's separate from you, he says. She isn't. She's your nerve. We touch her, you twitch. That's biology, not romance. Ethan feels nausea rise. He tastes blood and bile. His voice goes low, dangerous. If you hurt her, the man lifts a hand, calming. We won't, he says. Not if you do what we want. Ethan's stomach turns. Which is? The man leans in. You introduce us to Daniel, he says. You open the door. And, in exchange, Claire walks away. Ethan's eyes flick toward the river building. He imagines Daniel inside, watching through cameras, seeing Ethan speaking to a rival. The image makes his skin prickle. I can't open that door, Ethan says, voice steady despite the chaos inside him. Daniel doesn't trust me. The man's eyes narrow slightly. He trusted you enough to make you, he says. Don't undersell yourself. Ethan's jaw tightens. I'm not his. The man's smile returns, pleased. That's what we needed to hear. Ethan's pulse spikes. He realizes too late he's just admitted what Mara wanted him to admit. Uncertainty. He's performing it. But the line between performance and truth feels dangerously thin. The man gestures, and another figure steps out from behind the SUV holding a phone. Say hello, the man says softly. The phone is raised. The screen shows Claire, sitting on a chair in a dim room, hands bound in front of her. Her hair is slightly disheveled. Her face is pale. Her eyes snap up when she hears something, and Ethan's throat closes, because even through a grainy screen, he can see the terror she's trying to compress into silence. Claire, Ethan whispers, and the word feels like it tears him open. Her lips part. Her voice comes out faint, controlled and shaking. Ethan, stop. The command hits him harder than pleading would. His breath stutters. Are you okay? Claire swallows, eyes glossy. No, she says, but I'm alive. And I don't want you to do this. The man beside Ethan smiles, watching Ethan's face like a scientist watching a reaction. Ethan's voice cracks. I'm trying to get you out. Claire's eyes flick sideways, as if someone is standing off camera. Her voice tightens. They said they'd let me go if you... She stops abruptly, jaw clenching, as if she's biting back something. Ethan's pulse spikes. If I what? He asks. Voice urgent. Claire's eyes fill. If you stop, she whispers. If you stop playing. The words land like a slap because they're aimed at the part of him that still thinks in strategies. Claire is not negotiating. She's begging him to stop turning her fear into a variable. Ethan feels his knees go weak. He forces himself upright. The man takes the phone back, turning the screen away. You see, he says. She's fine. Just scared. That's natural. Ethan's vision narrows. Where is she? The man's smile fades slightly. You don't need the address, he says. You need the outcome. Ethan's tongue burns with blood. He swallows hard. I'm not opening Daniel's door for you. The man's eyes harden. Then she stays scared, he says softly. And fear has a way of becoming injury. Ethan feels his chest tighten, panic spiking. He wants to lunge. He doesn't. He hears Mara's voice in his memory. Stay still. He forces himself to breathe slowly. I'll talk to Daniel, Ethan says. Careful. I'll tell him you want a meeting. The man tilts his head. And you think he'll agree? Ethan's mouth is full of blood. He swallows. He'll agree if he thinks it keeps me. The man's smile returns. Good, he says. Then call him. Ethan's stomach drops. He doesn't have his phone. He has the anonymous phone, which Mara controls. He looks toward the van across the street. He sees Mara watching from behind tinted glass, her eyes on him. She doesn't move. I don't have my phone, Ethan says. The man laughs lightly. Then, ask us, he says, and gestures. The second man steps closer, offering a phone. Ethan's pulse spikes. He takes it, hands shaking. He dials the number he knows by memory now, the rhythm etched into his brain. The line rings once, twice. Daniel answers immediately. Ethan. Ethan's throat tightens. He tries to steady his voice. They have Claire, he says again, loud enough that the rival man can hear. They want a meeting. Daniel's silence is brief. Where are you? Ethan's eyes flick to the river building. Outside, he says. They're with me. A pause. Daniel's voice lowers. Are you cooperating? Ethan's chest tightens. He hears Mara's instruction. Make him believe it. I'm listening, he says. Daniel exhales slowly. Bring them, he says. But understand this. If they step through my door, they don't step out. The rival man's smile widens when he hears it, as if Daniel just confirmed a suspicion. Ethan's stomach twists. Where is Claire? Ethan asks, voice raw. Daniel's tone is almost amused. You're asking me that now? He says. With them listening? Ethan's jaw clenches. Yes. Daniel pauses, then speaks slowly, like he's savoring the moment. She's not with me, he says. But she will be, if you do what I say. Ethan's chest tightens. Tell me where she is. Daniel's voice goes colder. You're not in a position to demand. Ethan feels blood spill over his tongue again. He swallows hard. His vision blurs. He forces his voice steady. If you want me back, he says, you tell me. Silence. Ethan can almost hear Daniel calculating. What does Ethan know? What does he need? What will he do? The silence is the uncertainty biting into Daniel. Finally, Daniel says, quiet and lethal. Warehouse district, Pier 9. Third building from the end. You'll see the blue door. Ethan's breath catches. The rival man's eyes flicker, a flash of interest. They got what they wanted. Ethan's stomach drops. Daniel continues, voice sharper. Now bring them inside. Ethan hangs up, hands shaking. He looks at the rival man, who is smiling like a man who just found a weak point in armor. Pier 9, the rival man murmurs. Blue door. Ethan's pulse spikes. That's not where she is. He lies quickly, instinctively, because he understands too late that he just fed them something dangerous. The rival man's smile widens. Sure, he says. And Mark is alive. Ethan's throat tightens. The mention of Mark is a deliberate cut. Ethan's nails dig into his palm. The rival man steps closer, voice low. You just did something very helpful, he says. Now we do our part. He gestures, and the second man lifts the phone again, showing Claire's face briefly. Tell him goodbye, the rival man says softly. Tell him to do what he's told. Claire's eyes lock onto the camera. For a moment, her expression is not fear. It's something else. Disgust, sorrow, a kind of exhausted clarity. Ethan, she says, voice shaking, don't you dare come for me like this. Ethan's breath stutters. Claire. She cuts him off, voice rising slightly. You keep making everything about you, she says. You keep turning my life into your consequence. The words land like a fist in his chest. The rival man watches Ethan's face with interest, like he enjoys watching someone realize a truth too late. Claire continues, voice trembling but fierce. If you want to save me, she whispers, stop feeding them. Stop feeding Daniel. Stop feeding your guilt. Just stop. Her eyes fill with tears. She swallows. I'm scared, she admits, softer. but I'd rather be scared than be used as a leash. The phone screen goes dark. Ethan's throat tightens until he can barely breathe. The rival man claps lightly, mock applause. She's strong, he says. That's good. Strong ones break slower. Ethan's vision narrows. His body vibrates with restraint. He can feel the gun in his coat pocket like a hot stone. He thinks of how easy it would be. He thinks of how the gunshot sounded trapped inside the car. Intimate. He thinks of what Mara said. You're not going to get to be a good man again. He takes a slow breath. Let her go, he says, voice low. The rival man smiles. Not yet, he says. But you're about to become very useful. He gestures toward the river building. Now, he says, we go inside. Ethan's pulse spikes. He sees the trap. If he walks them into Daniel's building, the collision happens. People die. Claire becomes a bargaining chip in a war. And yet, if he refuses, they'll punish Claire. He glances toward the van. Mara's face is still, eyes fixed on him. She makes a small gesture, 2 fingers, then points away from the building. Go. Not inside. Somewhere else. Ethan's mind races. He has seconds. He forces his face into compliance. Okay, he says to the rival man, but not through the front. The rival man's eyebrows lift. Why? Because Daniel will lock you in a funnel, Ethan says, voice steady. He'll trap you. He'll kill you. And you'll never get what you want. The rival man's smile tightens. And you know this how? Ethan tastes blood. He swallows. Because I've watched him do it, he says. Because he's already ready for you. The rival man studies him. Ethan forces himself to hold the gaze, to sell the narrative. The narrative. Ethan is not loyal to Daniel. Ethan wants to survive. Ethan wants Claire. Ethan will do anything. The rival man nods slowly. So, what do you suggest? Ethan points down the street, away from the building. He has a service entrance, Ethan says. 2 blocks down, behind the boat repair shop. No cameras. No guards. If you go in that way, you control the angle. The rival man's eyes narrow. He's assessing. Ethan feels sweat cold on his back. If the man doesn't buy it, Ethan dies here. Finally, the rival man smiles. Lead, he says. Ethan turns, walking away from the river building. The rival men follow. Close. Ethan's heart hammers. He forces his pace steady, his posture casual, like he isn't walking a knife edge. They reach the alley behind the boat repair shop. Ethan's stomach twists. There is a service door there, yes, but it doesn't lead into Daniel's building. It leads into nothing useful. It's a dead end. That's the point. He needs to separate himself long enough for Mara to act. The rival man stops, looking around. This it? Ethan nods, reaching for the door handle. Yes. The rival man's phone buzzes. He glances down, then looks up, smile widening. Funny, he says. Daniel's men just moved. They're coming. Ethan's blood turns cold. Daniel tracked the call. He's sending people. The rival man laughs softly. You set us up, he says, not angry, almost delighted. You tried to. Ethan's mouth goes dry. No, he lies. The rival man steps closer, and the friendliness drains from his face. You're not as clever as you think, he says softly. You're just desperate. Ethan's pulse spikes. He feels the gun in his pocket. He thinks of Claire's words. Stop feeding them. He thinks of Mark's blood. He hears footsteps at the alley entrance. Multiple. Heavy. The rival man's eyes flick past Ethan. Here we go, he murmurs. Ethan turns sharply. 3 men in dark jackets step into the alley, moving with the calm efficiency of people who have practiced violence without emotion. Daniel's men. One of them carries a pistol at his side. Not raised yet, but visible. The rival man smiles. Daniel, he calls out, voice loud. You're early. The leader of Daniel's men doesn't smile. He speaks coldly. Ethan, he says, eyes locking on Ethan. Come with us. Ethan's chest tightens. The alley feels like a sealed box. The rival man steps slightly to the side, positioning himself so Ethan is between the 2 groups. A human shield. A piece. Looks like you belong to everyone. The rival man murmurs near Ethan's ear. Ethan's mind races. This is the collision Mara wanted to control, but it's happening here, in a tighter space, with less margin. If a gun goes off, bodies fall. The leader of Daniel's men takes a step forward. You, he says to the rival man, voice flat. Leave. The rival man laughs. Or what? The leader's eyes don't change. Or you die. The rival man's smile widens, enjoying the simplicity. He turns his head slightly, as if listening to someone through an earpiece. Then he nods once. No, he says. Not today. One of the rival men lifts a phone again, holding it up like an offering. We have something you want, he says. Daniel's man's gaze flicks to the phone. The screen shows Claire again, brief and shaky. She's crying now, silently, tears sliding down her face. She looks smaller. Ethan's throat closes. The leader's jaw tightens. He looks at Ethan. This is your fault, he says. Ethan's hands shake. He doesn't deny it. Denial feels pointless. The rival man speaks softly, pleased. We're going to make a trade, he says. Ethan for Claire. Ethan's stomach drops. He expected it. Hearing it spoken makes it real, like a stamp on paper. Daniel's man's eyes narrow. Ethan is ours, he says. The rival man laughs. Then you want him alive, he says. That's the difference between you and us. We don't care if he survives. We care if he opens doors. Ethan's chest tightens. He feels something inside him fracture again, a splitting of identity. Ethan the person and Ethan the asset. Everyone is speaking about him like he's a tool, and Claire is the handle they use to grip him. Ethan steps forward suddenly, voice sharp. Stop, he says. Both groups pause, attention snapping to him. The silence is heavy. Ethan's voice shakes, but he forces it steady. You want to trade? He says to the rival man. Fine, but not like this. The rival man tilts his head. Oh? Ethan swallows blood, tasting metal. If you want Daniel, you need me inside, he says. If you kill me here, you lose. If you take me now, Daniel's men chase you, and Claire gets hurt anyway. The rival man watches him, amused. So what do you propose, Ethan? Ethan's mind races. He thinks of Mara in the van, watching, waiting. He thinks of Daniel inside the building, anticipating, controlling. He thinks of Claire's voice telling him to stop feeding them. He realizes the only way to stop feeding them is to starve them of predictability, to do something none of them expects, refuse to be traded like a commodity, refuse to make Claire the leverage point. Ethan looks at the phone with Claire's face. He speaks loudly, so everyone hears. Claire, he says, voice cracking. I'm sorry. Her eyes snap up. She looks terrified, confused. Ethan continues, forcing the words out like ripping off skin. I can't let you be the reason I keep doing this, he says. I can't let you be the leash they use. Claire's mouth trembles. Ethan, don't. Ethan's eyes sting. I'm not going to run at every threat, he says. I'm not going to trade my life back and forth while they play. The rival man's smile fades slightly. Daniel's man's eyes narrow, wary. Ethan takes a step back, away from both groups, positioning himself so he's not shielded. He reaches into his coat slowly, deliberately, and pulls out the gun. Every muscle in his body screams. He remembers Mark. He remembers the sound. He doesn't point it at anyone yet. He holds it low. The men tense. Daniel's men lift their weapons slightly. The rivals shift. Ethan's voice is low, shaking. If anyone shoots, he says, she dies. The rival man's smile returns, intrigued. You think you can control this? Ethan swallows. No, he admits. But I can ruin it. The leader of Daniel's men speaks coldly. Put it down. Ethan's hands tremble. He raises the gun, not at them, but toward himself. The barrel hovers near his jaw, angled upward. His heart pounds so hard he feels it in his throat. Mara's earlier message flashes. Your blood opens doors. Bleed. The alley goes still. Even the wind seems to pause. Claire's face on the phone contorts with panic. No, she whispers, barely audible through the speaker. No, don't. Ethan's voice cracks. I'm not going to die for them, he says. I'm not giving Daniel a martyr. I'm not giving you a corpse to grieve. He presses the gun's barrel against the soft skin under his jaw, not enough to kill, but enough to make a point. His finger is on the trigger. The rival man's smile falters, just a fraction. Daniel's man's eyes sharpen. Everyone is calculating now, and that's what Ethan needs, their certainty to crack. Ethan speaks, voice shaking but clear. Claire is not a bargaining chip, he says, and neither am I. If you want to trade, you trade with Daniel, not with me. The leader of Daniel's men's jaw tightens. Ethan, he says, voice lower, you're being dramatic. Ethan's laugh is broken. That's funny, he says, coming from Daniel's dog. The insult lands. The man's eyes flash, but he doesn't move. He can't. He's trapped by the possibility that Ethan will actually pull the trigger and turn everything into chaos. Daniel can't control a suicide. The rivals can't profit from it. Claire's usefulness as leverage collapses if Ethan becomes unpredictable enough to self-destruct rather than comply. Ethan feels tears threaten. He forces them back, focusing on the sensation of the barrel against his skin, cold metal, the faint tremor of his own hands. The rival man raises his hands slightly. Okay, he says, voice gentler now. We don't want you to hurt yourself. Nobody wants that. Ethan's breath is ragged. Then let her go. The rival man shakes his head slightly. We can't just let her go, he says. But we can. Adjust. Ethan's jaw tightens. Adjust how? The rival man's eyes flick to Daniel's men. We'll meet Daniel, he says. We'll trade directly. Ethan comes with you. He points at Daniel's leader, and Claire stays alive until we talk. If Daniel plays games, she suffers. If he's reasonable, she walks. Ethan's stomach twists. That still makes Claire the lever. It still makes Ethan the key. But it shifts the negotiation away from this alley, away from an impulsive gunshot. Daniel's leader's voice is cold. Daniel will not negotiate with trash. The rival man smiles. He will, he says. Because he wants Ethan, and because he knows we're not bluffing. Ethan's mouth fills with blood again, metallic. He tastes it and realizes he's bitten his tongue hard enough to reopen the wound. His body is bleeding because his mind is at war with itself. The leader of Daniel's men stares at Ethan. Put the gun down, he says again, quieter. Ethan hesitates. If he lowers it, he loses his only immediate control. If he keeps it, someone might shoot first. He hears a faint vibration, his anonymous phone in his pocket. Mara, maybe. He doesn't move to check. He can't break eye contact. Ethan lowers the gun slowly, carefully, not surrendering it, just lowering it. The rival man exhales, relieved. Daniel's man relaxes a fraction. The alley breathes again. Good, the rival man says softly. See, we can be civilized. Ethan's hands still shake. He keeps the gun at his side. Daniel's leader steps forward, close enough that Ethan can smell his cologne clean, expensive. The man's eyes are hard. You're coming, he says. Ethan's throat tightens. And Claire? The man doesn't answer. He gestures sharply. Two men step in, one on either side of Ethan. As they move him toward the alley entrance, Ethan's gaze flicks once to the phone in the rival man's hand. Claire's face is still there, tears tracking silently. Her lips move, forming words Ethan can't hear. He wants to tell her something. He wants to apologize properly, to promise, to explain. He can't. He's being guided like a prisoner. The rival man calls out behind them, voice loud and cheerful. Tell Daniel, we'll see him soon. Ethan is shoved into a car, one of Daniel's vehicles. The door slams. The interior smells like leather and control. Ethan's heart pounds. He looks out the window as they drive, and for a moment he catches sight of the van across the street. Mara is inside, watching. Their eyes meet through tinted glass. She doesn't wave. She doesn't smile. She lifts two fingers again, then taps her chest once. Stay alive. Ethan swallows hard. In the car, the man beside him speaks quietly. You made it worse, he says. Ethan laughs softly, hollow. That's my specialty. The man's jaw tightens. Daniel doesn't like surprises. Ethan's throat tightens. Then he shouldn't have made me. The man's eyes flick to him, sharp. You think you're special because you're emotional. You're not. You're just broken. Ethan stares out the window. City lights smear. The words echo with Claire's earlier accusation, with Mara's cold clarity. Broken. Yes. But broken things can be unpredictable. Broken things can cut. They arrive at the river building. Ethan is marched through a service entrance this time, down hallways that smell sterile, past doors that hide rooms he has never been invited into. He's brought into Daniel's office. Daniel is standing by the window, hands behind his back, looking out at the river like he's admiring a painting. He doesn't turn immediately when Ethan enters. Ethan, Daniel says finally, voice calm. You've been busy. Ethan's mouth tastes like blood. He swallows. They have Claire. Daniel turns slowly. His eyes lock onto Ethan. There is no sympathy there, only assessment. Yes, Daniel says, and you helped them. Ethan's jaw tightens. You gave them the conditions. Daniel's lips curve slightly. And you gave them the coordinates, he says. Ethan's breath catches. Pier 9, blue door. The rival men heard it. Ethan's stomach twists. You told me. Daniel's smile fades. I told you because I expected you to keep it to yourself, he says. Because I expected loyalty. You gave it away under pressure. Ethan's voice cracks, anger rising. You threatened her. Daniel's eyes narrow. Yes, he says simply. Because it works. Ethan's hands shake. He wants to lunge. He doesn't. He forces his voice steady. What happens now? Daniel steps closer, slow, deliberate, like a predator circling. Now, he says. You return to your place. Ethan swallows blood. My place. Daniel nods. Under me, he says. You've flirted with rebellion. You've tasted chaos. It didn't suit you. You're not built for freedom, Ethan. You're built for purpose. Ethan's laugh is bitter. Purpose, he repeats. Is that what you call it? Daniel's voice is soft, dangerous. I call it survival, he says. And you'll call it that too. When you realize your choices are gone, Ethan's chest tightens. You're going to negotiate with them. Daniel smiles faintly. I'm going to eliminate them, he says. And then I'm going to retrieve Claire. Ethan's stomach turns. Retrieve. Daniel's eyes glitter. You don't get to act offended by vocabulary, he says. You shot a man in a car. Words are not your moral high ground. Ethan's throat tightens. If you kill them, they kill Claire. Daniel's smile doesn't move. Not if I make the right offer, he says. Ethan's pulse spikes. What offer? Daniel steps closer until he's within arm's length. His voice drops. You, he says. Ethan goes still. Me. Daniel nods. I give them you, he says. Not your body, your access, your habits, your weaknesses, everything you've become. They will believe they can use you against me. They will move closer, and then I will cut them out. Ethan's mouth goes dry. And Claire? Daniel's eyes hold his. Claire lives, he says. But she will never forgive you. Because she will know you were the currency that bought her. Ethan's chest tightens. She already doesn't forgive me. Daniel's smile sharpens. Then you have less to lose, he says. Convenient. Ethan feels something inside him buckle. Daniel is describing a plan that uses Ethan's guilt as a lever against Ethan. It's a closed circuit of control. Ethan's voice is hoarse. What if I refuse? Daniel's eyes go cold. Then you die, he says simply, and Claire becomes a lesson for whoever comes after you. Ethan's hands tremble. He thinks of Mara telling him to stay alive. He thinks of Claire telling him to stop. He thinks of the gun under his jaw in the alley. The moment of autonomy born from self-destruction. Ethan's voice drops to a whisper. You really believe you own people? Daniel's smile is almost tender, and that tenderness is what makes it monstrous. I don't believe, he says. I observe. People are owned the moment they care. Ethan's throat tightens. Then you're owned too. Daniel's eyes flicker, the smallest crack. He recovers instantly, smile returning. By what? He asks. Power? That's not ownership. That's appetite. Ethan's pulse hammers. He sees the crack. He sees uncertainty flicker in Daniel's eyes when he implied Daniel could be owned. That's something. Daniel gestures toward the door. Take him, he says to the men behind Ethan. Prep him. We meet the rivals in 2 hours. Ethan's stomach drops. 2 hours. That's nothing. He's grabbed and pulled toward a side room. He twists, looking back at Daniel. If you touch her, he starts. Daniel cuts him off calmly. If I touch her, he says, it's because you failed. The door closes. In the prep room, 2 men strip Ethan of his coat, his gun, his sense of control. They check him for weapons. They wipe his mouth where the blood has dried at the corner, as if cleaning him makes him more presentable for sacrifice. Ethan's jaw clenches. One of the men speaks quietly, almost conversational. You should have stayed loyal, he says. Ethan laughs softly. I did, he says. To the wrong thing. The man's eyes narrow. You don't get to philosophize. Ethan's throat tightens. I'm not, he says. I'm confessing. They leave him alone in a small room with a single chair and a mirror. The mirror is one way, he knows. Daniel watches. Someone always watches. Ethan stares at his reflection. His eyes look hollow. His mouth is stained faintly red. He looks like someone who's been in a fight with himself and lost. He presses his palm against the mirror, as if touching another version of himself might steady him. It doesn't. His anonymous phone buzzes in his pocket. They missed it in the search Mara's device, hidden deep. Ethan's pulse spikes. He pulls it out, hands shaking. A message from Mara. I saw the alley. I saw Daniel's men take you. Are you breathing? Ethan swallows hard and types back with trembling thumbs. Barely. He's meeting them. 2 hours. A pause. Then, keep him talking. Delay. I'm close to Claire. Ethan's throat tightens. Close how? Mara replies. I found the transfer route. She's being moved again before the meeting. They don't trust Daniel. That's good for us. Ethan's pulse spikes. They're moving her. If Mara is close, there's a chance. A fragile, terrifying chance. Ethan types quickly. Where? Mara. Pier 9 was bait. Real location is Pier 7. Blue container. 2 guards. I can't go loud. Ethan's stomach twists. He wants to tell Mara to run, to take the risk, to do anything. He thinks of Claire's face on the phone, tears silent. He thinks of her words. Stop feeding them. He realizes telling Mara to go loud is feeding the same cycle, using someone else's body as the lever. Ethan types. What do you need? Mara time. Ethan stares at the screen. Time. Daniel is meeting them in 2 hours. The transfer route is now. Time is the only currency left. Ethan exhales slowly. He wipes his bloody mouth with the back of his hand. He looks at his reflection again and sees the truth. He is already currency, so he will spend himself strategically, not blindly. He types, "I'll delay the meeting. Mara." How? Ethan's mind races. He can't escape. He can't physically stop Daniel, but he can introduce uncertainty. He can make Daniel hesitate. Daniel hates hesitation. Daniel hates not knowing. Ethan types, "I'll make him think you're inside." Mara replies instantly, "Don't." Ethan's throat tightens. He types anyway. He's owned by control. "I'll threaten it." Mara, "If he suspects me here, he kills you before the meeting." Ethan's breath catches. The fear spikes. Then something else rises under it, a cold resolve. If Daniel kills him, the meeting collapses. The rivals panic. Claire becomes harder to trade. Mara loses her window. Ethan has to stay alive long enough to be useful. Ethan types, "Then I won't make him suspect you. I'll make him suspect them." Mara, "Explain." Ethan stares at the screen, thinking fast. If Daniel believes the rivals are setting a trap inside his building, he delays. If he delays, Mara gets time. Ethan types, "I'll feed him a lie that they've planted a bomb." He'll pause to verify. Mara, "He'll verify fast." Ethan, "Fast is still time." A pause. Then, "Fine. 2 minutes matters. Keep breathing." Ethan pockets the phone as the door opens. One of Daniel's men appears. "Time," he says. Ethan stands. His legs feel weak, but he forces them steady. He's led back into Daniel's office. Daniel is now seated behind the desk, composed, as if nothing is urgent. The rivals are on a video call, their faces on a screen smiling, relaxed. The man from earlier leans toward the camera, eyes bright. "Daniel," the rival man says, "we appreciate you meeting." Daniel's voice is smooth. "I don't appreciate anything," he says. "I tolerate." The rival man laughs. "Fair," he says. "Let's trade." Daniel gestures slightly. Ethan is pushed forward, standing in front of the camera. He feels like an animal being displayed. The rival man's smile widens when he sees Ethan. "There he is," he says. "Our key." Ethan's throat tightens. He forces his face blank. Daniel speaks calmly. "You have Claire," he says. "Show proof of life." The rival man gestures off screen. The video feed switches to Claire. She's in a shipping container, dim light overhead. Her wrists are still bound. Her face is streaked with tears. She looks exhausted. She lifts her head when she hears voices, eyes searching. Ethan's chest tightens painfully. He can't help it. He steps closer to the screen, as if proximity could protect her. Claire's gaze locks onto him. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes at first. Then she whispers, "Ethan." Daniel's voice cuts in, smooth and cold. "Claire," he says. "You're safe if Ethan behaves." Claire flinches at Daniel's voice, even through the screen, like her body recognizes a predator. Ethan's nails dig into his palm. The blood in his mouth tastes stronger. The rival man smiles. "She's fine," he says. "Just inconvenienced." Daniel's eyes narrow. "Release her," he says. "Now." The rival man laughs. "No," he says. "Not until we have what we want." Daniel leans back. "And what you want," he says, "is to die." The rival man's smile doesn't fade. "Maybe," he says, "but not today." Ethan's mind races. Time. He needs time. He has to derail this. He looks at Daniel, then at the rival man. He forces his voice steady and speaks, louder than he should. "They planted something," Ethan says. Daniel's eyes flick to him, sharp. "What?" Ethan swallows blood. "The rivals," he says. "They're not meeting you here because they want to trade. They're meeting you here because they want to take you with one move." The rival man's smile tightens. "Oh?" he says, amused. "Ethan, don't be dramatic again." Ethan forces his voice calm. "Bomb," he says. "Inside your building. They sent me to trigger it by entering." Daniel's gaze sharpens. For the first time, a visible crack irritation, calculation. "Explain," Daniel says, voice low. Ethan's heart pounds. He keeps talking. "They tracked your men. They know your routes. They know your cameras. They know you would bring me here. They have someone inside." The rival man laughs, but there's a flicker of caution in his eyes. "Daniel," he says, "don't listen to him. He's panicking. He's trying to buy time." Ethan's stomach twists. He pushes harder. "You moved, Claire," he says, staring at the rival man. "Why?" Because you don't trust Daniel. Because you're scared. Scared men plant bombs. The rival man's smile falters for a fraction. Daniel's eyes narrow further. He's listening. Daniel's voice is cold. Do you have confirmation? He asks Ethan. Ethan swallows. No, he lies. But I saw the device. In the alley. The way they moved. The way they positioned me. They were too confident. The rival man's voice sharpens. This is bullshit. Daniel's gaze stays on Ethan, assessing. Ethan forces himself to hold it. He can feel sweat cold on his spine. Daniel's jaw tightens. He taps a button on his desk. Sweep, he says into an intercom. Now. Every floor. The rival man's eyes narrow, annoyed. Daniel, if you delay, Claire suffers, he says. Daniel's eyes go cold. Claire is nothing to me, he says. And Ethan feels the cruelty of it like a punch. She's everything to Ethan. And Ethan is everything to you. So be careful what you threaten. Claire's face on the screen contorts. She whispers something, but the audio is too low. Ethan's chest tightens. He hates that Daniel is right. He hates that Claire is trapped in this logic. Minutes pass in tense silence. Daniel's men move, scanning. Ethan's phone vibrates in his pocket. Mara, perhaps. He doesn't dare check yet. The rival man's smile returns, forced. You're paranoid, he says. That's why you're powerful. Daniel's voice is flat. And you're impatient, he says. That's why you'll lose. A man enters Daniel's office, whispering in Daniel's ear. Daniel's expression doesn't change, but his eyes flicker. He looks at Ethan. No device found, Daniel says softly. Ethan's stomach drops. His lie has been tested. It bought time, but now Daniel knows Ethan will lie to disrupt control. That makes Ethan more dangerous, more disposable. Daniel turns back to the screen. Now, he says, voice calm. We proceed. Ethan's pulse hammers. He needs more time. He needs Mara to reach Claire. His phone vibrates again. He risks a glance, subtle. A message from Mara. I'm at Pier 7. 2 guards, door keypad, need code. Ethan's throat tightens. Code. Daniel knows codes. Daniel controls everything. Ethan's mind races. He types quickly under the desk, hidden by his body. Any markings? Container number? Mara. C-17. Keypad is standard. Need 4 digits. Ethan's mind flashes. Pier 7. Blue container. Daniel's ecosystem uses patterns. 4 digits could be a date, a habit, a symbol. Ethan remembers the email subject line from the beginning. He remembers his father's contingency plans. The drawer, the old safe with a code his father used repeatedly. 0412, April 12. His mother's birthday. The one date his father never forgot. Ethan's throat tightens. Daniel might not use that, but Daniel might have learned Ethan's patterns. Or Daniel might use something else entirely, like Mark's death date, like a cruel joke. Ethan's hands shake. He types, try. 0412. Mara. Why? Ethan. My father's default. Daniel loves inherited habits. A pause. Then, trying. Ethan's heart hammers. He looks up. Daniel is speaking again. Ethan stays with me, Daniel says to the rivals. You release Claire now. We confirm. Then we talk. The rival man smiles. No, he says. Claire moves after we have what we want. You know how this works. Daniel's eyes narrow. Then you don't understand what you're holding, he says. The rival man's voice turns slightly sharper. We understand exactly, he says. We're holding your access, your operations, your future. And we're holding the only thing that makes Ethan obedient. Daniel glances at Ethan, and there is a flicker of something like satisfaction. You see? Daniel says softly to Ethan, as if teaching. This is why you don't get to have attachments. Ethan's stomach turns. He tastes blood. His phone buzzes. Mara. Code worked. Door open. Moving. Ethan's breath catches. Relief spikes so hard it almost feels like pain. Mara's next message appears immediately. Claire is inside. Alive. Weak. I can get her out but need distraction. They're watching the dock. Ethan's pulse spikes. Distraction. Time. He has a chance, but it will cost something. He looks at Daniel. He looks at the rival man on screen. He thinks of Claire's face, exhausted, begging him to stop feeding them. He thinks of Mara in the shadows, hauling Claire out quietly. He knows any move he makes now could trigger violence that closes Mara's window. Ethan speaks suddenly, voice loud and steady. Daniel, he says. Daniel's eyes flick to him, annoyed. Not now. Ethan continues anyway. You're going to lose, he says, looking directly at the camera. Both of you. The rival man laughs. Ethan, shut up. Ethan's voice stays calm. You think this is about Claire, he says. It's not. It's about control. And you're both addicted. Daniel's eyes narrow dangerously. Ethan. Ethan's hands shake, but he keeps going. Daniel, you think you're untouchable because you predict everyone, he says. But you don't predict empathy. You don't predict people doing something that doesn't profit them. Daniel's gaze hardens. What are you doing? Ethan looks at the rival man on screen. And you, Ethan says, you think you're smart because you found a lever. But you're amateurs. You're loud. You're visible. Daniel will kill you, and he'll use your bodies to teach the next group. The rival man's smile fades. Okay, he says. Enough. Ethan's voice rises slightly, pushing the tension, drawing attention. You're both going to turn Claire into a corpse if you keep playing, he says. And then what? You trade my grief? You trade Daniel's appetite? It's endless. Daniel stands abruptly, chair scraping. Shut up. Ethan's heart pounds. He needs Daniel angry, reactive looking at Ethan, not at the docs. He needs the rivals focused here too, not scanning peer cameras. Ethan looks at Daniel, eyes burning. You made me, he says. And now you're afraid of what you made. For the first time, Daniel's mask cracks. His eyes flash with something hot. Anger. Maybe fear. He steps toward Ethan. You don't get to speak to me like that, Daniel says, voice low. Ethan's pulse hammers. He leans in slightly, refusing to back away. Why? He whispers. Because you're owned by control? Daniel's jaw tightens. The phrase lands. Ethan sees it. That tiny flinch again. The crack. Daniel reaches out and grabs Ethan by the collar, yanking him closer. Ethan's head snaps forward. Pain blooms at his throat. The rival man on screen laughs softly. Oh, Daniel, he says. You're emotional. Daniel's eyes flick to the screen, then back to Ethan, rage tight. You're trying to destabilize me, Daniel hisses. Ethan's throat burns. He forces a smile, small and bitter. It's working. Daniel's hand tightens. Ethan can barely breathe. He feels the room narrowing. He hears his pulse. He tastes blood. And then, Daniel's assistant bursts into the office, breathless. Pier 7, he says quickly. Motion detected. Someone breached a container. Daniel's grip loosens a fraction. His eyes flash. Ethan's heart spikes. Mara, Claire, the breach has been noticed. The rival man's smile returns, delighted. Looks like you do have a leak, he says. Daniel releases Ethan abruptly, shoving him back. Ethan stumbles, coughing, throat raw. Daniel turns to the assistant. Who? He snaps. Unknown, the assistant says. Camera feed is intermittent. Doc camera is down. Mara, she cut the camera. Or someone else did. Either way, it's chaos. Daniel's eyes harden. He turns to the screen. We pause, he says to the rivals. Your move just started a war. The rival man laughs. Your move, he corrects. You just lost control. Daniel's gaze flicks to Ethan, suspicion sharp. This is you, he says. Ethan's chest tightens. He can't deny it without incriminating Mara. He can't confess without dying. Ethan wipes blood from his mouth, voice hoarse. It's your world, he says. Maybe it's just breaking. Daniel's eyes go cold. He pulls a phone from his pocket and dials, speaking rapidly in a language Ethan doesn't recognize. Orders. Mobilization. Violence packaged as logistics. Ethan's own phone buzzes again in his pocket. Mara. He doesn't dare check until Daniel turns away. When he does, the message is short. Got her. Moving. Need exit route. They're closing in. Ethan's pulse spikes. He types quickly. Where are you? Mara. Dock gate. 2 men. Van compromised. Need alternate. Ethan's mind races. Dock gate. He remembers the layout from Daniel's old files. The way routes are designed around control points. There's a maintenance tunnel under Pier 6 that connects to the old sewage line, an emergency escape his father once mentioned as a paranoid joke. Ethan knows Daniel would know too, but maybe not the exact access. Ethan types. Pier 6 maintenance hatch. Under the rusted crane. Leads to service tunnel. Mara, can you confirm? Ethan. Yes, hurry. A pause. Then. Moving. Ethan's breath catches. Relief and terror mix into something nauseating. Daniel finishes his call and turns back to Ethan, eyes sharp. You're bleeding, he says, voice almost mocking. Ethan swallows hard. You noticed. Daniel steps closer, gaze cutting. You think you're clever, he says softly. You think you can orchestrate chaos and slip out. Ethan's heart pounds. I'm not slipping out, he says. I'm drowning. Daniel's smile is thin. And you'll take me with you, he says. That's what drowning men do. Ethan forces himself to meet Daniel's eyes. Maybe you deserve it. Daniel's expression hardens. He gestures sharply. Two men step in behind Ethan again. Take him downstairs, Daniel says. Lock him. We'll deal with him after we retrieve Claire. Ethan's stomach drops. If Daniel locks him away now, Ethan loses any ability to help Mara. Mara might still get Claire out, but without Ethan feeding Roots, she could be cut off. And if Mara succeeds, Daniel will retaliate on Ethan. And if Mara fails, Claire is trapped again. The men grab Ethan's arms. Ethan's breath comes fast. He thinks of the gun pressed under his jaw, the only control he had. He doesn't have a gun now. He has words. As they drag him toward the door, Ethan speaks loudly, voice raw. Daniel, he says. Daniel pauses, eyes flicking to him. What? Ethan swallows blood. If Claire disappears, he says, you lose me forever. Daniel's eyes narrow. You think that's a threat? Ethan's chest tightens. It's a fact, he says. Because if she disappears, I have nothing left to obey you for. Daniel's gaze sharpens. For a second, the mask shifts, revealing calculation. Daniel understands. Ethan without leverage is unpredictable. Ethan without Claire is a bomb that might go off in Daniel's hands. Daniel steps closer, voice low. You're admitting she's your leash, he says. Ethan's throat burns. He forces himself to say it. Yes, he says. And you used her. So if you lose her, you lose control of me. Daniel studies him, eyes cold. Then he smiles faintly, almost pleased. Honesty, he says. Finally. He gestures. The men loosen slightly. Waiting. Daniel leans in, voice almost gentle. I won't lose her, he says. Because I won't allow it. Ethan's pulse hammers. She's not yours to allow. Daniel's smile sharpens. Everything is mine to allow, he says. That's the point. Ethan is pulled again, toward the door. His mind races, desperate for another disruption. He needs Daniel to delay his dock response, to misallocate resources, to focus on the wrong pier. He needs Mara's window. Ethan speaks quickly, voice strained. They're using Pier 9, he blurts, choosing the lie that twists Daniel's earlier bait. They moved her to Pier 9 after the breach. Daniel's eyes narrow. You're lying. Ethan's stomach drops. Am I? He challenges, forcing the uncertainty again. Or are you so sure you control the map that you'll ignore the possibility they're baiting you? Daniel's gaze sharpens. For a second, indecision flickers. That's the crack. Ethan pushes. You taught me to anticipate, Ethan says. So, anticipate this. They know you told me Pier 9. They know you'd chase it. They'll counter. They'll use your certainty against you. Daniel's jaw tightens. He hates being challenged in his own language. He turns sharply to his assistant. Split teams, Daniel snaps. Pier 7 and Pier 9. Now. The assistant nods and rushes out. Ethan's chest tightens. He bought it. He forced Daniel to split resources. That could give Mara a thinner net at Pier 6. It's something. But Daniel turns back to Ethan, eyes cold. You're improvising, he says. That's dangerous. Ethan's voice is hoarse. So was I, he says. And you still used me. Daniel's smile fades. Take him, he says again. The men drag Ethan out. Down hallways. Into an elevator. The ride down feels like a coffin dropping. Ethan's phone buzzes in his pocket. He can't check. Hands on his arms, eyes on him. They shove him into a small room, concrete. No windows. A single metal chair bolted to the floor. The door shuts with a heavy click. A lock turns. Silence. Ethan stands there breathing hard, throat raw, blood drying at the corner of his mouth. His hands shake. He pulls the anonymous phone out, fingers trembling. A message from Mara. In tunnel. Claire weak but moving. Shots above. Keep them split. 5 minutes. Ethan's breath catches. 5 minutes. His entire world collapses into that number. He types, stay in tunnel until clear. Don't surface near Pier 7 or 9. Go south, exit by storm grate. Mara. Copy. Ethan stares at the screen, heart hammering. If Mara gets Claire out, Daniel will lose leverage. Daniel will retaliate. The rival group will react. The war will escalate. Nothing will be clean. But Claire might breathe free air again, even if she never comes back to him. Ethan's chest tightens. He presses his forehead against the cold concrete wall, eyes squeezed shut. He hears Claire's voice. Stop feeding them. He realizes he's feeding them even now, but he's feeding something else too, an exit, a possibility. Footsteps approach outside the door. Heavy. A key turns. Daniel enters alone, surprising Ethan. The door shuts behind him. Daniel looks at Ethan, expression unreadable. "You're bleeding," he says again, as if it fascinates him. Ethan doesn't answer. He keeps his phone hidden behind his thigh. Daniel steps closer, voice low. "You made me split my teams," he says. "You made me doubt my own map." Ethan swallows hard. "Good." Daniel's eyes narrow. "You think doubt is victory," he says softly. "It's not. Doubt is a disease. It spreads." Ethan's throat tightens. "Maybe you need to get sick." Daniel's smile is thin. "Maybe," he says. "Or maybe I just need to cut out the infected part." Ethan's pulse spikes. He senses the shift. Daniel isn't here to threaten. He's here to decide. Daniel reaches into his pocket and pulls out Ethan's phone, the original one. He sets it on the chair. "You like being watched," Daniel says, voice soft. "You pretend you don't, but you do. Because being watched means you matter." Ethan's jaw tightens. "That's not why." Daniel tilts his head. "Then why?" Ethan's voice is hoarse. "Because being watched means I'm not alone," he admits, and hates how true it feels. Daniel's eyes glitter. "Exactly," he says. "And that's why you can't tolerate Claire disappearing. Because then you'd be alone with what you did." Ethan's chest tightens painfully. Daniel is too accurate. That's what makes him terrifying. Daniel steps closer, voice dropping. "Tell me where Mara is," he says. Ethan's breath catches. "I don't know." Daniel's smile sharpens. "Lie," he says. "But lie better." Ethan's hands shake. He keeps his face blank. "I don't know," he repeats. Daniel's eyes harden. He leans in, close enough that Ethan can smell his cologne. Clean and expensive. Like control packaged as luxury. "If you protect her," Daniel whispers, "I will make sure Claire never forgives you. I will make sure she knows you chose another woman over her." Ethan's throat tightens. He feels anger flare. "This isn't about choosing," he says. "This is about survival." Daniel's eyes narrow. "It's always about choosing," he says. "You just don't like the price." Ethan's anonymous phone vibrates in his pocket. Mara, likely. 5 minutes. Ethan's heart pounds. He needs Daniel out of this room, away from suspicion, away from Mara's tunnel. Daniel's gaze flicks downward, noticing a subtle movement. "What's that?" he asks, voice sharp. Ethan's blood turns cold. Daniel steps forward, hand reaching. Ethan moves instinctively, slamming his shoulder into Daniel's chest, driving him back a step. Daniel stumbles, surprised. Ethan's heart hammers. He doesn't have a weapon. He has desperation. Daniel recovers instantly, eyes flashing. "So, that's where you are," he murmurs, not to Ethan, but to the idea. There is something in Ethan's pocket. A lifeline. Daniel lunges, grabbing Ethan's wrist, twisting hard. Pain shoots up Ethan's arm. Ethan grits his teeth, refusing to cry out. The phone slips slightly, but Ethan clamps it in his palm, hidden. Daniel's voice is low, furious. "You're still pretending you're not owned," he hisses. Ethan's breath is ragged. "I'm pretending I can breathe," he spits back. Daniel twists harder. Ethan's wrist feels like it might break. Ethan's vision blurs. He tastes blood again. He forces his body to go limp suddenly. A trick Daniel's grip loosens a fraction to adjust, and Ethan uses the moment to yank his hand free and shove Daniel away again. Daniel hits the wall, more angry than hurt. He straightens slowly, eyes cold. "You want to fight?" he asks softly. "Now?" Ethan's chest heaves. "I want you to stop," he says, voice shaking. Daniel smiles. "Cruel." "Stopping is for people who can live with themselves," he says. "You can't." Ethan's phone buzzes again, frantic vibration. Daniel's eyes flicker. He reaches again, faster. Ethan does the only thing he can think of. He throws Ethan's original phone, the one Daniel put on the chair across the room, smashing it against the wall. The sound is sharp, sudden, disruptive. Daniel freezes, eyes snapping to the broken phone. For a split second, his attention fractures, his control object shattered. Ethan uses that second to pull the anonymous phone out and type blindly, fingers shaking. "Now. Run south exit." He hits send. Daniel turns back, fury blazing. "You break my things," he says softly, voice dangerous. "You think that's rebellion?" Ethan's breath is ragged. "I think it's noise," he says. "And noise buys time." Daniel steps closer, eyes cold. "Time for what?" Ethan's chest tightens. He smiles bitterly. "For you to lose something," he whispers. Daniel's expression hardens. He raises his hand, not with a weapon, but with intent he's about to strike. To make Ethan feel small again. Ethan braces. The intercom on the wall crackles. Daniel's assistant's voice. Urgent. Daniel, Pier 7 breach confirmed. They're in the tunnel. We lost visual. Team at Pier 9 found nothing. Daniel's hand freezes midair. His eyes flash. Ethan's heart pounds. Tunnel. Mara. Claire. South exit. Daniel turns sharply toward the intercom. Lock down south exits, he snaps. Now. Ethan's stomach drops. Daniel is closing the route. Ethan's breath catches. He can feel the window shrinking. Daniel turns back to Ethan, eyes cold and alive with purpose. You, he says softly, are going to tell me where they're surfacing. Ethan's throat tightens. He doesn't know exactly. He guessed. Mara said, south exit by storm grate. Daniel is locking south exits. Ethan's mind races. He has to misdirect. He has to push Daniel away from the south exit, toward something else, to keep Mara's path open. Ethan swallows blood and says quickly, north, he lies. Pier 8 grate. Old access. Daniel's eyes narrow. Pier 8, he repeats, tasting the lie. Ethan forces his face calm. They'll avoid the places you're watching, he says. They'll go where you don't think to look. Daniel studies him, eyes sharp. Then he smiles faintly. Dangerous. You're learning, he says. Good. He turns and walks out, barking orders into his phone as he goes. Ethan stands alone again, chest heaving, hand shaking with the anonymous phone. He stares at the door, listening to footsteps recede, then to distant voices, the building's machinery of control mobilizing. His phone buzzes. A new message from Mara. Spotted. Running. Claire collapsed. Carrying. 2 behind us. Ethan's throat tightens. Panic surges. He types quickly. Drop into service pipe. Use ladder rung. Don't surface. Hide. Mara. New time. Ethan's hands shake. He stares at the screen, helpless, the worst feeling. He hears Claire's voice, don't come for me like this. And yet his body screams to do something, anything. Footsteps approach again. The door opens. Not Daniel. One of Daniel's men appears, breathless. Move, he says, grabbing Ethan's arm again. Daniel wants you upstairs. Now. Ethan's stomach drops. Daniel wants him as a tool again, as bait, as a detector. Ethan is pulled out of the room, down hallways, toward the elevator. His phone buzzes again in his pocket, unseen. Ethan can't check. He is being dragged back into the machinery. In his mind, he sees Mara in the tunnel, Claire limp in her arms, footsteps behind them, shots above. Ethan feels the terror of being absent, of being the reason but not the rescuer, of being the leash Claire despises, and the tool Daniel craves. The elevator doors close. The elevator doors close, sealing Ethan inside a moving box of glass and steel. And for a brief, suffocating moment, the hum of the machinery is the loudest thing in his world. His arm throbs where Daniel grabbed him. His mouth tastes like old blood and copper. His thoughts are a chaos of images. Claire collapsing in a tunnel, Mara hauling her through darkness, Daniel's hand tightening at his throat, the rival man's smile like a knife that enjoyed being sharp. The elevator rises. The man beside him, one of Daniel's, keeps a firm grip on Ethan's arm. Not rough enough to bruise more than necessary, just enough to remind him where he is in the hierarchy. Ethan doesn't resist. Resistance right now would only confirm Daniel's suspicions and close whatever fragile window remains for Mara. But when the doors open, the floor is louder than before. Phones ringing, voices clipped and urgent, screens flashing maps of the docks, red and blue overlays pulsing like open wounds. Daniel stands at the center of it, coat gone now, sleeves rolled up, hair slightly out of place. He looks energized, alive in a way Ethan has come to recognize as dangerous. Bring him, Daniel says, without turning. Ethan is pushed forward. Daniel finally looks at him, eyes sharp, assessing, stripping him bare with a glance. You lied, Daniel says calmly. Ethan doesn't answer. He's past denial. He's past explanations. Daniel continues, voice even. But not badly. You forced a split. You forced movement. That tells me you're still useful. Ethan's jaw tightens. That's your takeaway. Daniel smiles faintly. Everything is a takeaway, he says. The question is, what it costs. He gestures to a screen. Footage flickers. A shaky camera view of a dock tunnel, shadows moving fast. A glimpse of a woman's shoulder, dark hair plastered to her face. Claire, then static. Another camera. Men running, weapons raised. Then nothing. Daniel's finger taps the desk. They're good, he says, almost admiringly. This Mara. She anticipated my anticipation. Ethan's chest tightens. He forces his voice steady. You taught me to anticipate. Daniel's gaze flicks to him. And now you're teaching someone else, he says. That's disloyal. Ethan's laugh is weak. So is using people like currency. Daniel's smile doesn't move. Currency is neutral, he says. People give it meaning. Ethan watches the screens, heart pounding. He doesn't know if Mara is still moving, still breathing, still holding Claire upright. He feels every second like a weight pressing down on his lungs. A man at one of the consoles turns suddenly. We lost them, he says. South tunnel collapsed camera feed. North exit false trail. They vanished. Daniel's jaw tightens, just a fraction. The room holds its breath. Vanished, Daniel repeats softly. Ethan feels a spike of hope so sharp it almost hurts. Daniel turns to him, eyes cold. You did this. Ethan swallows. I helped, he says, because the truth feels important now. I didn't do it alone. Daniel studies him, something like curiosity flickering. You think that absolves you? Ethan shakes his head. No, he says. I think it ends you. The words hang in the air, reckless and raw. A few of Daniel's men glance over, tension rising. Daniel doesn't react immediately. He just looks at Ethan. Really looks, as if reassessing the shape of him. You believe this is a victory, Daniel says finally. Ethan's chest tightens. I believe she's alive. Daniel's eyes narrow. You don't know that. Ethan meets his gaze. Neither do you. That lands. Not loudly, but deep. Daniel exhales slowly. Even if she escapes, he says. You don't. You understand that, yes? Ethan nods. I do. And you accept it, Daniel continues, voice soft, almost coaxing. You accept that your role now is to clean this up, to help me close the gaps, to make sure this never happens again. Ethan's stomach turns. By doing what? He asks, though he already knows. Daniel's smile sharpens. By becoming what you were always meant to be, he says. Not a liability, a cornerstone. Ethan thinks of Claire's face on the phone, of her words. Stop feeding them. He thinks of the gun under his jaw, the only moment he felt truly in control. He thinks of Mara's cold clarity. Her refusal to pretend goodness was still on the table. Ethan speaks quietly. You don't need me anymore. Daniel laughs softly. Everyone needs someone, he says. Even kings. Ethan shakes his head. No, he says. You needed someone who still thought there was something to lose. Daniel's eyes narrow, dangerous. You think you have nothing left? Ethan's throat tightens. I think that's what scares you. For a split second, the room goes very still. Daniel steps closer, voice low. You're confusing bravery with nihilism, he says. Nihilism burns out. Ethan's voice is hoarse. So does control. Daniel's hand rises, hovering near Ethan's face, as if he might strike him again, or perhaps touch him in a mockery of intimacy. Instead, he lets it fall. Lock him down, Daniel says suddenly. Secure room. No devices. I'll decide what to do with him after we stabilize. Two men step in. Ethan doesn't resist as they take his arms again. His mind is elsewhere down in a tunnel, in the dark, with two women moving through cold water and rust and fear. As they drag him away, Ethan hears a shout from one of the consoles. Signal, the man says. Brief, unknown device pinged near storm grate. Ethan's heart leaps. Daniel turns sharply. Where? The man rattles off coordinates. South, exactly where Ethan sent Mara. Daniel's eyes snap to Ethan, fury blazing. You lied again. Ethan doesn't deny it. He just meets Daniel's gaze, breath ragged. You taught me how. Daniel snarls, a flash of something feral breaking through his polished exterior. Seal the perimeter, he barks. Now. Ethan is dragged faster now, urgency infecting the handlers. They shove him into a different room, this time larger, but empty. A holding room. The door slams, locks engage. Silence. Ethan stumbles, catching himself on the wall. His legs shake. He slides down until he's sitting on the floor, back against the cold concrete. His hands tremble uncontrollably now that there's no one to perform for. He pulls the anonymous phone from his pocket. It's still there. Somehow, miraculously. A message waits. Out. South Grate. Vehicle secured. She's alive. Ethan's breath leaves him in a broken gasp. He presses the phone to his forehead, eyes squeezed shut, chest heaving. Relief hits him like a wave, followed immediately by grief so sharp it almost makes him scream. Alive. Claire is alive. Another message appears. She asked about you. I didn't answer. Ethan swallows hard. He types with shaking fingers. Thank you. A pause. Then, don't thank me yet. Ethan's throat tightens. He types, is she safe? Mara. Safer than she was. Not safe. Not yet. Ethan nods, even though she can't see it. That's fair. Safety is an illusion he doesn't believe in anymore. Ethan types, "Don't let them track you." Mara, "I won't." Daniel is furious. That helps. Ethan exhales slowly. Furious. Daniel is distracted. Daniel. That buys time. Maybe enough. Footsteps approach outside the door. Ethan quickly hides the phone again, heart pounding. The door opens. Daniel enters alone this time. No guards, no audience. Daniel closes the door behind him, then just stands there, studying Ethan as he sits on the floor like something broken and discarded. "You cost me," Daniel says quietly. Ethan looks up, eyes red. "I know." Daniel steps closer. "You humiliated me," he continues. "You made me look reactive." Ethan's mouth curves into a bitter smile. "That one's new for you." Daniel crouches in front of him, bringing their faces level. His voice drops to a near whisper. "I could kill you," he says. "Right now, quietly, and make this all go away." Ethan meets his gaze. "You could," he agrees. Daniel tilts his head. "But you're still breathing," he says. "Which means you know why I haven't." Ethan's chest tightens. "Because you still think you own me." Daniel smiles faintly. "Because I still think you're useful," he corrects. "Ownership is crude. Influence is elegant." Ethan's voice is hoarse. "You lost her." Daniel's smile fades, temporarily. Ethan shakes his head. "No," he says. "You lost what she made me." Daniel's eyes narrow. "And what was that?" Ethan exhales shakily. "Afraid of you." The words feel like a release and a sentence at the same time. Daniel studies him, expression unreadable. Then he stands. "You're wrong," Daniel says. "You're still afraid. You're just misplacing it." He turns toward the door, then pauses. "She will disappear," he says over his shoulder. "One way or another. And when she does, you'll come apart, and I'll be there." Ethan's chest tightens, but he forces himself to speak. "Maybe," he says. "Or maybe I already did." Daniel leaves. The door locks. Hours pass. Or minutes. Time dissolves in the small room. Ethan sits with his back against the wall, mind replaying everything, every choice, every fracture. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't cry. He exists in a suspended state of aftermath. Eventually, his phone vibrates again. "Mara. We're clear. New vehicle. New route." Ethan exhales. He types, "Good. Mara. She wants to know if you're alive." Ethan's throat tightens painfully. He stares at the words for a long time before responding. Ethan types, "Tell her yes, and tell her I won't come after her." A pause. Then, "She won't like that." Ethan's chest aches. He types, "She shouldn't. But it's the only way this stops." "Mara, you're cutting yourself out." "Ethan, I'm cutting the leash." Silence stretches. Ethan imagines Claire hearing this secondhand, feeling abandoned again, feeling like he's making another choice for her. The guilt presses down hard. Mara finally replies, "She said to tell you something." Ethan's fingers tremble. He types, "What?" "Mara, she said, 'Good, don't be brave, just don't be him.'" Ethan closes his eyes. The words settle deep, heavier than any threat Daniel ever made. The door opens again. Two men enter, this time more formal, less aggressive. "Get up," one says. Ethan rises unsteadily. He's led not back to Daniel's office, but to a different part of the building, a smaller room, with a table and a chair and a mirror. An interrogation room, perhaps. Or a decision room. Daniel enters moments later, composed again, mask fully restored. "I'm making a change," Daniel says without preamble. Ethan stays silent. Daniel continues, "You're too volatile to keep close. Too symbolic to remove." Ethan's heart pounds. This sounds like a compromise. Compromises from Daniel are never clean. "I'm letting you go," Daniel says. Ethan blinks. "You're what?" Daniel smiles thinly. "You will disappear," he says. "Publicly. There will be a narrative. You will be dead to my world." Ethan's pulse spikes. "And, privately?" Daniel's eyes glitter. "Privately, you will live," he says, "with the knowledge that I spared you. With the understanding that if you ever surface, if you ever speak, if you ever interfere again, everyone you care about dies." Ethan's throat tightens. "You're exiling me," Daniel nods. "Think of it as mercy," he says. "Or punishment. Whichever hurts more." Ethan considers the offer. Disappear. Cut out of the system. No access. No leverage. No Claire. No Mara. No control. Just existence. It's terrifying. And it's freedom. Ethan laughs softly. "You think this is kindness?" Daniel's smile sharpens. "I think it's efficient." Ethan meets his gaze. "You're afraid of me," he says, quietly. Daniel's eyes narrow. "I'm aware of you." Ethan shakes his head. "No," he says. "You're afraid of what happens if people learn you can lose." Daniel's jaw tightens. "Enough." Ethan exhales slowly. "I'll take it." Daniel studies him for a long moment, then nods once. "Good," he says. "Then you'll be escorted out tonight." New identity. No contact. Ethan's chest tightens. "And Claire?" Daniel's smile returns. "If she stays gone," he says, "she lives." Ethan nods. "She will." Daniel turns to leave, then pauses. "You almost became something impressive," he says over his shoulder. "It's a shame." Ethan's voice is hoarse. "You almost broke," he says back. "It's a relief." Daniel leaves. Hours later, Ethan is driven out of the city in silence. No phones, no weapons. Just a folder with documents and a key to a place he's never seen. He watches the skyline recede, lights blurring into nothing. At a rest stop far from anywhere meaningful, the driver pulls over. "This is it," the driver says. "Walk that way." Ethan steps out into the cold night air. The car drives away, taillights shrinking until they're gone. He stands alone on the side of a dark road, wind cutting through his jacket, and for the first time in weeks, no one is watching him. The silence is enormous. His anonymous phone vibrates one last time. A message from Mara. "We won't contact you again." Ethan swallows. He types, "Thank you." Mara replies, "Don't waste it." Ethan pockets the phone. He looks up at the empty road, the unknown ahead. His chest still aches. His guilt still burns. Nothing feels resolved. Nothing feels clean. But somewhere, far from Daniel's maps and rival hands and blood-stained bargains, Claire is breathing without being watched. Ethan turns and starts walking, carrying the weight of what he's done and the fragile, terrible relief of what he's prevented. And the night swallows him whole.